I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 52 of Tales from Godric's Hollow. The number one Harry Potter podcast for the last 20 years of Harry Potter. Mark it down, write it down, it's official. Hashtag Harry Potter 20 emoji. That's how we roll here. I am one of your hosts. I am the muggle of the show. I am Josh Brown. I am joined by the man who's probably crazy enough to fly through a storm on a broomstick to London if he really needed to get to HQ. None other than Professor Matt Sonnenberg. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Josh. You're right. If I could fly on a broomstick, I'd fly everywhere on a broomstick.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Rain, sleet, snow, doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah. You would definitely do that. I have no doubt in my mind.
From the upper Midwest. Come on.
That's true. I always forget that weather hardly affects you in any capacity.
Not so much.
Yeah. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I am doing well. Very well.
Yeah.
Today has been a whirlwind of a day.
Sure.
I mean, not only did we just finish moving into our new, well, we keep referring to as an apartment. It's a townhouse, I guess.
Okay.
Whatever. So I'm in a new location, but then today with the 20th anniversary going on, it's just been crazy in Harry Potter world.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with not only you, but the entire listening audience, Matt. Nobody told me that the 20th anniversary was happening today. I just woke up, I jumped on Twitter, I'm like, oh, this is the thing. And the last time a thing happened, I was told by many people to stay off social media. Once I got onto social media this morning and I saw that this was a thing, and possibly a bigger thing than the last thing that I wasn't able to participate in, I started to get worried. I started to get scared because everybody's talking about the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter and the proper title, Sorcerer's Stone. And I wanted to participate and I wanted to enjoy it and just bask in the glory that is 20 years of Harry Potter goodness. But a part of me was reluctant to dive too deep into it. You know?
Yep.
I know it was a celebration of the first book, the release of the first book, and that was a big deal, and that kind of what kickstarted everything, but it just, when people start talking about Harry Potter, especially ones that don't actively usually talk about Harry Potter in normal everyday sense, people get a little loose with the recollection of the story and everything like that. So nobody warned me ahead of time that this was coming. Nobody told me to anticipate this day. I just had to wake up and have a wonderful yet frightening surprise bestowed upon me.
Sure.
That's okay.
You made it. You survived.
I did. I only caught like 8 or 9 spoilers total, so no big deal. I mean, I'm sure it's all book 7 stuff anyway, so by the time we get there, I won't remember anything.
Yeah, you'll forget.
Yeah. I'm kidding, obviously, folks. Everybody just like lost their collective minds right now. People are pulling over to the side of the road and crying, just uncontrollably sobbing right now.
Over.
Just no spoilers. Everybody's talking about the first book. Everybody's showing pictures of young Harry Potter. We're all good. So it was a fun day though in Harry Potter world.
Absolutely.
To think we started the first book almost a year ago, Matt.
Just about. We're getting real close.
Just about a year ago. We are creeping up on our 1-year anniversary. Which actually coincides with Harry Potter's birthday.
It does.
Which turns out that we started the book roughly 19 years after it was released. So I feel like I got in before the 20-year mark, which is probably good, you know. I didn't want to be that guy, Matt. God, could you imagine? Like, I would have never lived that down. It's been 20 plus years. You know, nobody could ever say that to me now. You know, everybody will have to go default. over 10 years or just before 20 or nobody's going to say 19. So I didn't hit that 20 mark. It's going to sound good no matter how people phrase it. Smooth sailings from here on out, Matt.
We got you in.
Barely. Just in the nick of time. Speaking of anniversaries, though. 1 year, Harry Potter's birthday. We have a whole big thing coming up. Only reason I'm bringing this up is because last week we started a giveaway to give away something awesome, to give away something cool. We're giving away a golden snitch fidget spinner, which you absolutely cannot say quickly in any sense of the words because it just turns into a mess. Start sounding like a parcel tongue after a while. Nobody wants to go down that road. Golden snitch fidget spinner. We are giving away tonight. Last week we asked people to write in suggestions, ideas for how they would like us to celebrate Harry Potter's birthday / our 1 year anniversary. Depending on how you look at it, that might actually be more important than Harry Potter's birthday, but I don't want to, I'll let you guys decide which one's more important. I know the correct answer, of course, but I'll leave it open-ended for you guys. So, Matt, did people write in and give us some suggestions here?
They did. We got a number of suggestions.
Okay.
Thankfully, I mean, even more so, like, we got, let's see what we get. This week we got 10 entries, but each of these entries, most of them have multiple ideas. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah, got plenty of ideas to work with.
And you have promised me that you're going to put them all together, and you're going to send them over my way so I could pour through them, and we could talk it out, and we could figure out what exactly we're going to do in about a month to celebrate this monumentous occasion.
And I think it's fair to say if anybody comes up with any ideas between now and then, feel free to send them over. I mean, we'll keep taking ideas if you come up with something fantastic. It's just the ideas we got so far are the ones that are interested in the giveaway. So
right. You won't win a fidget spinner for it, but you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe your idea will still make it into the big thing, the big event, the big show, the big whatever it is that we do. You never know.
Yep.
I mean, if you're Atari Alex, send it in like the day before. Things could still happen.
Possibly. No guarantees.
No guarantees. I'm just saying you could. You definitely could. So, Matt, let's give away this golden snitch fidget spinner. We are going to select one of the entries at random.
All right.
What number do I have to choose from?
Well, like I said, you have 10 entries. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, I've already scrambled them.
Ah, good man.
We're gonna do this right.
Okay. Now it's totally random.
Totally random.
I like it, Matt.
So yeah, I still need number 1 through 10.
Okay, 1 through 10. Well, it's Harry Potter's and the Sorcerer's Stone's 20th anniversary.
Yep.
We don't have 20 entries. That's a shame. However, if you take that number and divide it by how many titles of the book there actually are, we get the number 10. Let's do the number 10, Matt.
Number 10 would give us... Looks like, let me double check our previous winner list, but I think this might be a new name, actually.
All right.
Yeah. Looks like our winner this week is Nikki.
Congratulations, Nikki. You won a golden snitch fidget spinner.
She did. Nikki, I will be getting in touch with you if you don't get in touch with me first. Mm-hmm. We'll get that sent out to you.
Yep.
She writes in and says... Here are a couple ideas for what you could do for your first year anniversary. You could possibly do a vidcast so we can actually see your facial expressions as you're talking. I don't know how much editing goes into your podcast, but perhaps a blooper reel would be interesting.
Oh, we don't do bloopers here. There are no jokes before or after the show. You get full, raw, unedited episodes. Also,
Pretty
Matt
much.
will never let me watch his face while we do a show.
It'd be rough. She says, if you have time, it would be interesting to go back to all your old podcasts and pull out all of Josh's predictions and theories, then talk about which ones have come true, which ones are flatly false, and which ones might still be possible.
Do we have interns? I feel like that's a great job for interns.
Well, oddly enough, that I've run across a couple people this week who have said, like, either they're going back and listening to old episodes, just to fill in the time between episodes, or
Sure.
they're still on some of the older episodes, or that sort of thing. Like, it might be possible.
Okay.
We'll see.
Or we could just, like, all collectively admit that all of my predictions come true, and we could just move on.
No, I don't think so.
The fun part, Matt, will be the ones where they still haven't been proven false yet.
Uh-huh.
That's when it's going to get tricky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It'd be tough to sort through. Like, I mean, and then there's ones, like, you've proven to us sometimes that even if something has been proven false, you don't want to believe it.
Right. That's true.
So you got that wrench in the works. Anyway, thank you, Nikki.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nikki.
You won the fidget spinner for this week.
Right.
And as always, we will have another great giveaway coming up at the end of the show. For those of you who are in our Slack chat, our Patreon exclusive Slack chat, I actually gave you a little preview of what you can win. So,
the room of uncertainty, correct?
No, not quite.
Oh.
The room of requirement. Yes. But yeah, so if you haven't checked that out, you can head over there if you don't want to wait till the end of the episode, or if you just want to see a picture of it, because I showed pictures over there,
Sure.
which won't be elsewhere probably.
You know, Val asked me the other day if I'm looking forward to the day when I'm able to go into the secret room of which we shall not speak.
Uh-huh.
And a part of me is like, you know what? That would be really cool to be able to talk to all these wonderful people in there. But then on the other hand, I feel like I'll be like that guy that just shows up when he's not necessarily welcome because everybody's kind of talking about him, you know? And then he shows up and then everybody has to, like, change what they're talking about and pretend
Sure.
like they're not talking about him the entire time. So that I can't help but think about that either. So, yeah, yes and no.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Like I said, you still got a couple years.
God, I do. Don't remind me, man.
All right. Let's see, where are we at now? So we got our winner for this week,
Nikki.
Before we get into the chapters, there's one other thing I want to talk about.
But Matt,
Yes.
I really want to talk about these chapters.
I know.
I'm in love. I have a new favorite character. We need to talk about this immediately. You're making me wait, and it's kind of hard to do right now.
Well, you're going to have to hold out just a little bit longer.
Okay.
So, last week, we had probably fairly lengthy conversation because I was stalling a bit, about Aunt Petunia and where she falls on the magical scale.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You got real quiet when I was asking questions.
Basically ended up letting you call her a squib.
Okay.
And left it at that because I was having trouble remembering how much you actually knew.
Sure.
And how much was future content.
Right. And how much I just make up in my head. I mean, you were pretty certain that we've never talked about half giants before, but I was pretty certain that was a thing.
Yeah. But thankfully, the listeners out there, many listeners out there wrote in this week to help me out and clarify that we do know enough, that Josh knows enough that we can cover this.
You guys are making very bold assumptions of what I know.
So I just want I want to get this out there. I'm sorry if I don't read your emails, but there are a number of them that just covered this topic. So in order to speed up that process a little bit, Aunt Petunia is a muggle.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, in my head, it's all a jumbled mess on how family lineage goes in the magical world and all that good stuff. So, sure. The grand scheme of things, she has no magical abilities.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So her sister, Lily, was a witch, but she's essentially like Hermione.
So their parents were not wizarding folk.
Correct. The parents weren't wizards, and that's why Petunia is considered a muggle, because she didn't have that magical ability.
So she did have magical parents, then she would be a squib because she didn't have magical ability, yet came from a magical family.
Yes. It's like, so we know, two squibs we know. Filch and Mrs. Fig.
Right.
So they had at least one magical parent. But then the offspring did not have a magical ability.
Right.
So they're a squib.
Okay.
That's why with Neville's story, they were worried he was going to be a squib because it took him so long to show magical ability.
Sure.
But he came from a long line of magical parents.
And see, the other problem I have is... it's not really a problem. It's just I see squibs differently because of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Okay.
Because what's his name calls what's his name a squib because apparently he had magical parents, or at least a magical parent, but wasn't showing any magical abilities to his knowledge. And then turns out, no, he did. He was just hiding them for his entire life. And that turned into a whole big, disastrous
thing. That turned into something else.
Yeah. So like in my head, like when I hear the word squib, like I immediately go to that and I start thinking, oh man, this is going to be bad news. Like they're going to explode at some point, but I need to get over that somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Aunt Petunia is a muggle.
Yes.
That just happens to be familiar with the wizarding world.
Yeah. She knows about magic because of Lily.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely.
I think that's the other problem I have is we just don't know, other than like Hermione's parents, many muggles that are in the know of what's going on in the magical world.
I would guess that there's more than we know, like at Hogwarts. It's just we don't know their background.
Sure.
So yeah.
Also going back to Fantastic Beasts, if you're a muggle and you know about magic, that's not going to end well for you, and you're going to forget it all in a blink of an eye. So
yeah,
man, that movie's kind of ruined it for me, hasn't it? It's jumbled up a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, it gives you a different perspective, but
okay.
Hopefully, once you get through the series, you'll be where we are, and have it all put together.
So, was the hiccup basically just whether or not we learned that their parents were muggles or not?
Yeah, and some people pointed out. Shoot, I'm not sure if I'm able to find the exact emails now, but they pointed out, like, in the first, I think it was the first movie, Hagrid even mentions, like, what's a muggle like you gonna do or something like that.
Gotcha.
When he's talking to him, and there's a couple references in the book actually too that mention that kind of imply at least that she's a muggle.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can, if I find those again, I'll either read them off during the email section or just let you know at some point.
No biggie. I guess I was just clarifying for my own sake of what the hang-up was as far as remembering what I knew and didn't know.
Sure.
Okay. I think like the main point I was trying to make last week was that we at this point know, which, you know, can't trust everything you've read. Things can change rapidly. But up until this point, it's safe to assume that she has no magical abilities.
Yes.
Be it squib or muggle, either way, she's not conjuring up any sort of magic anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
And that's mainly what I was trying to settle on, I think.
All right. Yeah, then we're on the same page.
Cool. Fantastic. Thank you to everybody for writing in and telling Matt what a horrible job he did at leading me astray last week. No, Matt, you didn't do a horrible job. Sometimes I ask you questions that you're not prepared for. And, you know, like we were talking off air, I forget a lot of things, and you have the entire series knowledge in your head, and for you, I could see how it would be tough trying to remember what we know based on the books / movies and what you already know just because of other things that I don't know yet, and how to address that when I ask questions.
Yeah. It's 20 years of Potter knowledge floating around in my head, and now in just over the past year I'm trying to limit what I know to what you know.
You're trying to cut out like everything past where we are in the books.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough, I'm sure. Because I'm sure there's some characters that are probably not the characters we think they are. So, thank you. No, honestly though, thank you to everybody for writing in and helping Matt out, because as he proved, it's not an easy job trying to guide this muggle through this fabulous and wonderful yet very strange journey that we're on. So sincerely, thank you to everybody.
Indeed.
Speaking of journeys, Matt.
Yes.
I am so excited to talk about this week's reading.
That's good, because that's what's up next.
Yeah. Chapters 3, 4, and 5 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
You got it. Chapter 3. Get into it again with the Advance Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, oh boy, do we get to meet some new characters.
Yeah, there was quite a list developing, and I decided not to take notes on the names, because I was like, you know what, that's gonna. I will remember the names that I care about, and there's going to be other characters that I will hear, and then Matt will say, and next week I will pretend like I've never met them before in my life.
Sure. So we have the wonderful Nymphadora Tonks.
Mm-hmm.
Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best names ever. Just there's so much power in that name.
Yeah, it's a
Kingsley
name.
Shacklebolt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, so good. Anyway, Elphias Dodge, Emmeline Vance, Sturgis Podmore, and Hestia Jones.
Those are new characters.
Those are all new characters.
Okay. Because there is another character that was made perfectly clear that we've definitely met him before. He has met Harry Potter before. And I just sat there with a blank look, like, I'm sure we met him somewhere. Diggle?
Daedalus Diggle?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of powerful, strong names.
Yeah, that's a good name. I do enjoy that name, but yes,
where have we met him before?
I believe the first time we got, well, okay,
He said he had met Harry Potter before.
Yes. So the first time we met him, I believe, we did not get a name.
Okay.
But it was when he was out shopping with Aunt Petunia and Dudley, and someone came up and shook his hand.
Way back in the first book?
Yeah.
Like, was it like a purple coat or something?
I think so.
Something. Okay.
So that was Daedalus Diggle, and I believe he comes back to that himself, because I think we get his name then in the Leaky Cauldron when Harry goes there for the first time.
That's where I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where we get Diggle's first. That's when we get his name.
Okay. Because that seems to be like a good place to meet random characters that aren't important to the story yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, there may be one other mention of him in a later book. I want to say just a random mention, nothing important really.
Okay.
Until we get to book 5 here, then, and he's obviously part of the Order,
right? And
coming to pick up Harry Potter.
Sure.
He's obviously a big fan.
Big fan. I mean, they all are, really.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what they said. They had so many people volunteering to come pick up Harry Potter.
Yeah. Just a fetch quest, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. I like meeting new people, Matt. That's the best part about the beginning parts of books is like all the new characters.
A lot of new characters
introduced to. Because there's going to be a point, Matt, where we're going to be reading, and you're just going to say, nope, we didn't meet anybody new. Nope, not this week. Nope, not again this week. So I need to, soak it in a little bit, kind of enjoy the fresh new car smell that is these characters that we're learning about for the first time.
Yeah.
But before we get to those, Matt, we got to talk about Harry Potter and his room, right?
Sure.
I was kind of annoyed. I'm not going to lie. I was getting kind of just mad about this whole thing because he was kind of just being a dumb 15-year-old boy again, Matt. And I get his frustration, but it was starting to wear on me as, the reader. I'm kind of throwing a temper tantrum here. You grounded yourself. Are you serious right now? You're treating yourself as badly as the Dursleys normally want to treat you. They can't even comprehend what's going on because you're already treating yourself as bad as they would normally do, so they don't even know how to react to that. They're just staring at him blankly, are you kidding me right now? This isn't fun for us because you're punishing yourself for whatever reason. It made me incredibly frustrated, but also it was a good reminder that he is still just a dumb kid, and he is filled with all kinds of weird emotions and feelings and thoughts he can't really process yet,
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, we're spreading this out over a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But all of these beginning chapters are basically in the span of a day or two, maybe less.
Right.
It's just there was a quick synopsis at the beginning of this chapter that kind of reminded me. It's wow, Harry has really been beat up both mentally and physically.
Sure.
Over the past, less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so, just how much he's been through in the recent period, and then I think it kind of helps explain maybe why he's acting this way too.
Yeah, and
he's just drained.
He is, and in hindsight, the reasons are completely valid for everything of the lack of communication and everything that happened the way it happened. The reasons are completely validated by how Dumbledore is approaching the situation. So I get it, and I can't be mad at the process, but I at the same time could also sympathize with Harry and what he's feeling, because he doesn't know what's going on, you know? And, like, a part of me just wished that he could try to put himself in Dumbledore's shoes and try to logically figure out what may be happening. Like, maybe not everything, you know, the whole grand scheme of things, but at least be like, well, you know, if Voldy is out there and Death Eaters are rising back up to prominence here, then maybe it's probably not a good idea if, you know, owls are sent explaining the situation, because clearly Dementors just tried to kill me, so, you know, what's to say something else isn't going to try to kill me here, you know? So, like, I wish he could have just, like, grasped the concept of, like, witness location program, you know, and just realize he was cut off from his wizarding world, not to keep him in the dark, but to keep everybody else in the dark as to where he was and what he was up to. Because he was clearly a target, you know?
Yeah.
So I wish he could have, like, put his feelings and emotions aside just, like, one of those nights when he's just laying there in bed staring at his ceiling and just been like, okay, what's going on here? In Dumbledore, I trust, so let's figure out why I'm in solitary confinement right now.
Sure. And to be perfectly honest, that might be the best explanation I've ever heard for this entire situation. Witness protection.
Yeah.
Because we'll get into it in some of the emails. Like a lot of people go off about the section, and I mean, I'm not real fond of these couple of chapters here, actually. And how Harry reacts and everything. But that's a very good point. He's basically in witness protection, except no one told him that he was in witness protection.
Exactly. And maybe that would have, like, changed things if, when he was sent back, Dumbledore is just like, by the way, you're not going to hear anything from anybody for, like, a month and a half, 2 months. Just
basically, he had to cut ties with his former life.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry. The big difference with Harry and actual witness protection people is, like, they can never go back.
Right.
I mean, Harry's going to go back, just not.
But he doesn't even know that. Like, he's Like,
he's wondering if.
Yeah.
So I mean that's I mean, because like I said, he even has people guarding him literally.
Yeah.
Like there were people on watch duty.
Well, one.
Well, they're supposed to
be. Ish. They're tasked with that. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I see all sides of it, and reflecting on it after the reading, I'm able to see the bigger picture with the whole thing. But as he's just constantly throwing out these what ifs, what if, and getting more emotional and getting more testy and getting more just teenager-ish, you know, I was just like, oh my god, like, bring back the adults. I need an adult.
Isn't it written so well, though?
Yeah, annoyingly so, Matt.
I know,
like,
but that's the teenager.
We just need an adult in here, and it took a while for them to come.
It did. It almost felt like it was too long, but we just got a lot of interim description.
Yeah. Well, the search party came finally.
They did. The advanced guard.
What a eclectic group of characters this was. Like, I expected. Man, everything's happened so fast. Like, I didn't have time to fully, like, start coming up with, like, any sort of theories in my head. But, like, I expected somebody to come rescue him. Yeah. I just didn't know who it was going to be, you know?
Sure. And I mean, not only I think, I guess me personally, when I first read this, I wasn't expecting so many returning characters.
Yes.
Because like we just read off the new characters, which is like 6, and I think like 6 out of 9 I think that actually showed up.
Right.
And so like when the first people he meets were people we already knew, and it's like, oh, okay. Because like you said, the beginning of these books is usually when we get to meet new people.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I guess if you're sending a group of people to pick Harry up, you're gonna want somebody he knows, not completely new people.
Yeah, he's gonna want to go with at least one person that he trusts.
Yeah,
at least.
Yes.
I will say, like, when the crash in the kitchen happened.
Yep.
First thought in my head. Matt. Dobby. What's Dobby doing here? I'm like, are you kidding me, Dobby? Like, this is not the time and the place for Dobby to just be showing up. I don't know. I mean, he's going to be friendly with Mr. Harry Potter, and, you know, he's going to be very gracious to see Mr. Harry Potter once again. But I didn't see Dobby being helpful in the situation, like, especially with the mood and temperament that Harry was in at that point.
Yeah.
So I got a little worried that Dobby was going to just stir the pot just a little too much, you know?
Harry very much would have been in the mood to probably strangle Dobby at that point.
That would have been Dobby's last chapter. So yeah, the clank in the kitchen threw me off immediately. Which is for the best, because what a wonderful surprise we got, Matt. This whole the group of wizards and witches that came to meet, to rescue, to guard, to escort Harry Potter to HQ. Phenomenal.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you right now, Matt. Tonks, I fell hard for her, Matt, immediately. I don't know what it was. The purple to pink hair, colorful hair. She's quick-witted. She's clumsy, apparently.
Yeah,
but she's super friendly.
Every character's got to have a downfall.
Yeah, she's super friendly. I don't know how old she is. Like, she definitely was described as the youngest of the group.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help at all, because in my head, everybody's like the age of Dumbledore. You know, Mad-Eye Moody. I mean, that guy is like 108 at this point. Lupin, in my head, is still an old guy. Like, no matter how many times I see him in that movie, he still doesn't come across as the young, strapping lad that he is.
Sure.
So when they say Tonks is the youngest of the group, I don't know what that means, Matt.
Yeah, she does give you a little bit of an explanation later on that should give you a better idea.
I probably missed that, to be honest with you.
Because I believe she mentioned somewhere in there. Well, no, maybe she says she's only been an Auror for a year.
Yes, she had only been an Auror for a year, and I know that she went to Hogwarts. It seemed somewhat recently. It didn't seem like it back in my day type of thing. But like her attitude, her demeanor, everything about her screamed like mid-20 something.
Yeah.
So like in my head, that's where I'm placing her.
Yeah, I would go even towards early 20s. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
young enough to where she could connect with Harry immediately, and he felt comfortable with her.
Oh yeah, because I think, even given her age, she tends to maybe act younger.
Sure.
Than her age even. So I mean, she's probably almost right. She would fit in with Harry very well.
Yeah.
I mean,
like Bill and Charlie, like that kind of like that's where the age range I see.
Okay. Yeah, it's possible. I guess I've always put Bill probably a little bit older. Well, even Charlie too. A little bit older probably.
I was thought it was just like a couple years past.
Could easily be right around the same age.
Either way. what a fantastic character she is.
Absolutely.
I don't know much about her. She is a... Say the word.
You can do it.
I can't.
Metamorph Magus.
Yeah, that thing.
So okay. The end of it, the Magus,
yeah,
it is just like Animagus.
Okay.
But it's
Metamorph Magus?
Yes, Metamorph Magus.
It's not a cozy word to come off the tongue.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
I'll give you that. But yeah, she's the first one we've ever met here. So
sure, which is fascinating, and I want to know all about it.
Well, we know a few things. They are born, not made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can change their appearance at will.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, leads to a lot of questions. Is how much can you change, and like how long does it take, or like
have we met her before?
Because I mean, we see her like change her hair color, her hairstyle, and her nose, and little things like that. But can she go all out and change her entire appearance all at once? Who knows?
Yes.
But yeah, one of the most endearing traits of Tonks that I find is that she seems to like a bit of a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just walks into the house and like, this is too clean.
Yeah.
Like something's wrong here. And then she gets into Harry's room. It's like, that's better.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's kind of a free spirit, you know?
Very much so.
Yeah. I just really like her, Matt. She was written very well.
That bodes well for the rest of this book.
I do have a question, though.
Yeah?
Okay. So she definitely does not want to be called by her first name, Nymphadora.
Yeah.
She made that perfectly clear right off the bat.
It's Tonks.
Tonks it is. That name sounds super familiar to me. And I don't know if it's one of those things I'm just making stuff up in my head again, Matt, or if that surname has been mentioned at all in the books before, like casually, passively, somewhere else that I've heard it. I don't know. Like, that name instantly stuck out to me, and I don't know why.
So you're saying the name Tonks does?
Yes, Tonks.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we have not run across that anywhere.
And that's what Val told me also, but again, like, there's sometimes when names just go right over my head, Matt, and I'm not even paying attention.
Sure.
But then, like, I started thinking about family names that are mentioned, like, in Fantastic Beasts, and I was like, is that where I might have heard it? But I don't know, like, what her, family status is. I don't know what's going on. So, I don't know. I'm not trying to get answers out of you. Obviously, if it was important, like, it would have been made apparent. Maybe not. Maybe that comes later. I don't know. But I will say, for whatever reason, whatever crazy reason it is, Tonks sounded super familiar to me. And I don't know why.
I mean, if anything, I'd put it up at one of your kids is a fan of Tonks and has mentioned it around the house, maybe. I don't know.
That's a stretch.
But like that's the best I can come up with as to where you may have heard the name before, because we definitely have not heard it in the books or movies for that matter.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
All right, but yeah, we love Tonks.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, Mad-Eye Moody, the real Mad-Eye Moody.
The real Mad-Eye Moody.
I mean, I say that hesitantly, Matt, because
I know.
I just spent an entire book calling Mad-Eye Moody, who wasn't Mad-Eye Moody, and
it's true.
I'm kind of with Harry on this one, where he's being introduced to somebody that he kind of knows but doesn't actually know. It's a weird thing.
And as much as he wants to trust Moody, I think it is a very, very, very good thing Lupin is there.
Yes.
If
Lupin wasn't there, this whole rescue mission would have been a catastrophe.
Exactly. Yeah. But Harry's feelings on Moody, this Moody has the real Moody has a slight different demeanor than the fake Moody, but the fake Moody spent so much time researching the real Moody and learning from him that he got really close.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just the way he acted and the way he taught and stuff like that. But still, I just see in this first scene just how great of a teacher the real Moody would have been.
Yeah.
I just love when Harry tries to stick his wand in his back pocket and Moody yells at him right then and there. I'm like, you're gonna blow one of your buttocks off, and I'm like, that's the kind of real life application that I know when I was going through school, at least, I thought a lot of the stuff we learned didn't have.
Right.
I was always looking for that real life application.
Yep.
And that's usually where you get it, is on those side notes. You don't necessarily find it in the textbook.
Mm-hmm.
It's when the teacher takes that moment to give you that little aside. It's like, what are you doing sticking that in your back pocket? No, that's not what. No. That's not something that's going to make it into a textbook. It's like, don't stick your wand in your back pocket, page 2.
Yeah. I mean, it made me also think, why isn't Wand Safety 101 being taught, to first years at Hogwarts?
Yeah.
Why isn't that a class? That's a very valid point that Moody's making.
Well, you see, and that's the thing. If they had a solid defense against the dark arts teacher, they would have learned that their first year. Because I'm pretty sure Harry has been sticking his wand in his back pocket ever since he's gotten it.
Yeah, that's where they always say that he pulls it from.
Yeah.
Moody. What does he actually drink? See, okay, here's my problem with Mad-Eye Moody at this point. I want to relate everything I know to Mad-Eye Moody about what I learned about Mad-Eye Moody in book 4, which wasn't actually Mad-Eye Moody, but it was a really great impersonation of Mad-Eye Moody.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I was getting at, is most of the character traits and most of the stories he tells and such, you can believe.
Yeah. Because,
like I said, we found out that he got most of this information from the real Moody.
Right. But, and then it cuts to him drinking out of the hip flask again, and, my mind just kind of explodes. I don't know what's happening, because the last time Mad-Eye Moody was drinking from a hip flask, it was making him... So what does the real Mad-Eye Moody drink from a hip flask? It's whiskey?
I was gonna say probably what you would expect to be in a hip flask. Yeah, that was just one of those traits of his that the fake Moody used to his advantage.
Sure,
so he could stay as fake Moody.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't look suspicious. But yeah, anyone who carries around a hip flask like that, he's not just drinking water. There's no way.
I'm just curious now about what was fake and what was pretend and what was just putting on a show to represent the real Moody, and what the real Moody would have been doing had it been the real Moody the entire time.
Sure.
I'm sure we'll learn much more as the book continues, but I'm with Harry though. I'm having a hard time just fully accepting this guy as the character that we just spent all year last year getting to know.
Sure.
It'll come in time.
Yeah, I did appreciate though that I believe it was Moody that mentioned, it's well, wait a minute, how do we know that this is the real Harry Potter? He spun it on his head a little bit, and it's how can we trust that he's a real Harry Potter? And I very much appreciated that they're finally starting to take some extra precautions.
Right.
It's like everybody just took everything for granted. It's like, oh yeah, that looks like Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter. Oh, that looks like Moody. That's Moody. That looks like Lupin. That's Lupin. Okay.
Moody has a sticky fake eye, which is kind of gross. Like I enjoy the character, but I'm going to have some problems with the character as well.
Sure.
Just he's rough and he's unpolished, and it's going to be an interesting getting to know you process all over again.
Yep.
But thankfully
new
Lupin's there.
character.
And Lupin is smooth as butter, man.
Absolutely. He's Lupin.
Tattered and worn out and aged 1,000 years and has the worst robes of life, but man, I could see his smile and his charm all over again as like where he's brought back into the mix.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this feels good, you know. It's nice to have Lupin back, Matt.
I figured you'd appreciate that.
He's gone far too long.
One book.
Look, it was a long book, Matt. It was the equivalent of the first 3 books, so
it's true. It was a long book.
Now, I was trying to figure out how all these wizards and witches got to Harry Potter's house, right? Like, in my head, I was trying to work through this solution.
Sure.
I wasn't trying to work through the solution because I thought it would actually play into how they were going to leave. I was just more curious about, how things work now, because that's how I'm seeing things.
Yeah.
Did they apparate? Did they take the flu network? What was my other... a port key. Like that's like the main ways of transportation that I know wizards to travel quickly and effectively, right?
Sure.
So I was just like randomly being curious to myself as to which method they would have chose to do this in such a large group,
Yeah.
And again, it was for my own just self-entertainment. And then, like, it actually came back into the chapter, and it's described, nope, didn't use a port key, nope, didn't use a flu network, nope, we didn't apparate. It's like, what? Were you guys reading my mind? Because that's exactly what I was just thinking, and you just shot it all down. One by one. JK just shot my hopes and dreams to the curb. Broomsticks, Matt.
Yep.
It's the only safe way to travel these days. And I'm thinking, really? Because there's a lot of muggles out there. There's a lot of non-magical folk. You can't just be flying around on broomsticks. This is, like, from what we know, broomsticks are used on the Quidditch pitch.
Yeah.
And around Hogwarts, where it's safe from muggle eyes.
Yep.
I was kind of uncomfortable with them just flying through the city and the town on broomsticks.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. You have to be very careful about it. There's a reason they came at night.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. I mean, they ended up going very high to get away from any prying eyes. But yeah, you see how cautious Moody is throughout this whole process. I mean, probably overly cautious, but that's just the world they live in.
Right.
They're very experienced in keeping away from Muggle eyes, and I mean, with the exception of Tonks, I mean, most of them have been doing this for years and years and years.
Right.
So,
let's see. Oh, I have a question about the magic trunks, or the trunks. Okay. I 100% had never put any thought into the trunks that all the kids bring to Hogwarts filled with their stuff.
yeah.
Because in the movies, they show them they're pretty decent-sized trunks.
Yep.
And they don't have many clothes. They have some robes. They have some books, whatever. Like the owl cages and whatnot are always carried on the outside. They're never part of the trunk, inside the trunk. But then I started thinking, as they're being as it's described as Harry's packing his trunk with Tonks' help, are the trunks magical like the trunks that we saw in Mad-Eye Moody's quote-unquote office last book, where they're a lot bigger on the inside than you think they are? Or are these straight up non-magical, just big trunks that you could put stuff in and there's nothing suspicious about them at all?
Yeah, these are just standard trunks.
Nothing magical about them.
No.
Okay,
that's why they're fairly good size. Like you think about it, if they were that much bigger on the inside, they wouldn't have problems like stuffing stuff into them.
That's why I started thinking. I was like, well, maybe Harry's taking a lot of stuff, but like Hermione carries all of her textbooks with her, which is like an entire library's worth.
Priorities.
I guess so. I was just curious, especially with like Newt Scamander's briefcase, which is much larger. Yeah. And I guess I'm just now getting used to the fact that what you see on the outside isn't necessarily what's on the inside. I
mean, like we got in, what was that, book 2? Nope. Book 2 or no, almost book 3, when they're going to King's Cross Station from the Burrow. And they got the ministry cars.
Oh, right.
And they was that? No, it was book 2. Sorry. When they just had the Ford, the flying car, that was enchanted, but they fit everybody into one car, and they fit all the trunks into the car's trunk,
right?
Because it was magically made bigger.
Sure.
But the trunks themselves aren't magical,
as far as you know.
Yeah.
Like, is it definitively proven that they're not? Like, can I still believe they are, Matt?
You can believe they are if you want, but I think it would have been mentioned if they were.
Sure.
JK likes to mention those things.
That's true. Okay, that is just a random thing that I put way too much thought into, clearly.
Sure.
The charm that Moody put on old Mr. Harry Potter.
Yeah, the disillusionment.
Yes. I loved the description of how it took effect.
Yeah.
It was so beautifully written that, like, most every charm and spell and hex and everything that, like, we get in these books are just, like, a flash of light and something happened,
Yep.
Like, this detailed a physical feeling, which was just, like, an egg yolk just running, like, I don't know. I absolutely fell in love with the description of how this worked.
Sure.
But it made total sense as to what was actually happening.
Yep, absolutely. And I think part of it is we're getting to see a little bit more advanced magic, as opposed to like the fiddly little charms that they learn in school.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, it's Moody for one, and like we know that he's like the best that there is. And so I'm guessing, if I had to guess, Moody might be the only one in this group that could pull this charm off as well as he does.
That sounds
maybe
right.
Lupin. Maybe Lupin I could see, but the rest of them, I doubt they could pull this off.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's fairly advanced. And the other thing is, once again, these books are written from Harry's perspective.
Right.
And how many charms have we seen directly that directly affect Harry, I guess?
Right.
Usually they're charming other objects. So it's kind of a first on a couple of fronts there.
Sure. I like it, though.
Yeah. Awesome nonetheless.
It made me connect to the charm a lot more than just, oh, and now you're a chameleon and you blend in with the background and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It would have been cool, but, like, the description of how it, like, felt was just incredible.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible. So the advance guard they're going in flying V formation around Harry Potter, flying through the air with the greatest of ease.
Of course.
Moody is absolutely ridiculous in the best possible ways, but it's exactly the character that I still see in my head.
Yep.
Which is perfect. But I think what sells it more is everybody else's reactions to him. You know, like, they still respect him because he's definitely been around the block a couple times. He's seen some things. He's dealt with some things. Like, he's very knowledgeable. Like, he's the man. But just because they respect him doesn't mean that they can't push back a little bit either, you know, and try to remind him that everything doesn't have to be the most complicated process in the world just for the sake of it being complicated.
Sure.
He loves to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
Because the tinfoil hat that he's wearing kind of makes him suspicious about everything, every little detail.
Yeah. But I mean, you also get the sense that Moody is just all business.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. He's not messing around at all. He just takes his business a little too seriously sometimes. You know, they're going from point A to point B, and as they joked, like, he was dangerously close to making a detour in Greenland just for the sake of, like, throwing off anybody who may be following them.
Yes.
And that's Moody in a nutshell, right? Like,
yep.
Nobody could be following him, but the possibility that somebody could, to him, makes anything that he does to prevent that from happening worth the extra effort.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, I guess, one trait of Moody's that makes him, that's why he is the best. Is because he always takes the extra step.
Which leads me to another thought, though, Matt. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that would have been able to be taken down by somebody like Junior and held hostage for an entire school year. He seems too careful for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
It would be interesting to get back into that house on that night and see what actually went down.
Because it just, nothing gets by him, you know? It doesn't seem like anything gets by him.
Sure.
I don't know. So that's the problem that I'm having. Like, it would be fascinating to see how it all went down. Like, what exactly happened. Because if anybody was going to be taken down, he would be the last person I would suspect. With, like, the exception of, like, Dumbledore, you know?
Sure.
Just because he's so good at what he does. And he's so meticulously careful with every little detail.
Yep.
But then again, if he's hitting the hip flask a little too hard one night, like, throw all that out the window. It's toast.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe Crouch Jr. got to his flask and dosed it with a little something extra.
Sure. Anyway, poor Harry. It's cold. It's freezing. It's very uncomfortable flying a broom in that altitude, I would imagine, at night. But they're heading to the headquarters, Matt. They're heading somewhere. There's lights. There's more lights than we've ever seen ever. There's so many lights. We're in London.
We are.
And we are at the headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix.
Indeed.
It made me think or question or wonder how close we were to London the entire time.
Yeah.
In my head, there's London, and then there's just countryside all the way around the rest of the country. Now, we have plenty of listeners over in the UK who are yelling at me right now, but I'm also a dumb American, and our public education system do not teach us geography as well as the rest of the world. But I see London being like in the center of the UK, the great country of England, but then everything else just being countryside all the way around it. you know. So, like, the fact that they weren't already in London to begin... I know they weren't in London, but in my head, I don't know. I guess them showing up to London was a bigger surprise to me than it should have been, just because I'm a dumb American.
Yeah.
You know? Like, if we landed in France, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense, you know? Paris, yeah, totally. That's exactly where we are. Or any other big city in Europe, I'd be like, sure. But they made such a big deal about being in London. I'm like, weren't we already in London? Like, that's where this whole thing is taking place, right?
That's the only habitable area.
That's the only civilization in England.
Yeah, but so just doing a quick search. I mean, we know Harry's town that he lives in, or the Dursleys live in, is Little Whinging. Which is apparently in Surrey, which is, according to my Google search here, is just southwest of London. It's all, I guess it says Surrey is a county, but that seems to appear just southwest of London.
Okay,
so
sure,
we're not that far off. I guess I would. Looking at the map right here, I'd probably consider it like a suburb of London.
Okay. And in that circumstance, then it's not that big of a deal that they flew to London, right?
It shouldn't be, no. I mean, the big thing is how fast could they fly?
Right.
Obviously, Moody was taking a lot of detours trying to avoid the cities and the people and all those things. And we knew they flew up quite high because they were up in the clouds and it got really cold. So, I mean, it takes time to get up there.
Right.
I mean, they're not flying at 500 miles an hour like planes do to get up there. But yeah, it could take a while to go that distance. I mean,
sure.
Like you said, he's used to flying around a Quidditch pitch.
Yeah.
That's as far as he's ever flown. He's never flown for distance. He's never flown on a broom as a form of transportation, really.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, who knows how long it actually takes.
All right. Well, regardless, that's where we're at, and that's where the chapter ends, and the next one begins.
It does. I think this is probably about the place we want to take a look at our Muggle poll for this week.
Oh, you know what? That's a great idea, Matt. I totally forgot about that Muggle poll.
So, our Muggle poll for this week, I wanted to know, as you mentioned early on, we got to meet a lot of new people.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people invaded the Dursleys' house this week.
Right.
Known as the Advance Guard.
Yes. And,
of course, I couldn't give you choice from all 9 of the names, but I think it worked out pretty well because there are really only 4 characters that I guess you could say had speaking parts.
Sure.
And 2 of them we've met before, Moody and Lupin.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 new characters we got to meet a little bit. One we didn't talk about too much, but so Tonks, of course.
Yeah.
And then Kingsley Shacklebolt.
I know, we definitely didn't talk about Tonks enough, Matt.
I know you could talk about her all night.
All night. But... no, Kingsley, is intriguing, and his character, along with his name, seemed like a very powerful, kind of quiet, reserved, but could probably be assertive when need be type of character. Yeah. But other than that, we didn't get to know him too well.
Yeah, we didn't, especially in this chapter. We learn a little bit more in the next couple of chapters. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite little details we can talk about more later if we need to, but
sure.
The fact that he is leading the hunt for Sirius Black.
Yes.
At the same time, basically living in the house with Sirius Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an intriguing character. And yes. I could totally see why people would peg him as their favorite of the Advance Guard based on whatever else we get to know about him later on. I don't think if anybody after reading just this first chapter, meeting him is going to be like, you know what? He's my favorite character of these people. You know,
yeah,
I feel like he has a bigger story to tell, and that's why people are attaching the favorite status to him.
Yeah. So yeah, the people. It is actually a close call. It looks like here, 36% for Lupin, which I'm not surprised, but very close second, 35% for Tonks.
I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah,
pretty close. If it was anybody other than Lupin, I'd probably argue a little bit more about this.
But you like Lupin too.
I like Lupin a lot, Matt. I mean, he's no Tonks, but I mean, Lupin he's pretty top notch, you know?
Yep.
I like that. That's a good question.
I had to come up. Honestly, I was not prepared when my alarm went off for this week's Muggle poll. I have an alarm set to post it. And like, shoot, I did not come up with a question this week.
I think it worked out well.
I think so too.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody that responded and participated in the poll. Of course, the Muggle poll is put up on Twitter every Monday afternoon or whatever day we are recording, about 4 p.m. Pacific time. It's over on Twitter at Tales from GH. You could use the hashtag MugglePoll. I don't think many other people are using that, so it's a quick way to find it. Read the question, look through the choices, vote on what you think. If you want to respond with like a write-in type of response or an explanation, we definitely encourage those. We get lots of those every week as well, so it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to interact with you guys, the community out there, and tell us a little bit more about yourselves. So, also, I can laugh at you for being wrong. Like everybody that picked everybody but Tonks. It's my, one consistent victory on this show, Matt. Is I've yet to be wrong on the Muggle poll.
Okay.
Chapter 4.
Chapter 4. Number 12, Grimmauld Place.
What a weird chapter title.
Yep.
Sometimes she just throws me for a loop, man.
Well, when the vast majority of her chapters are the something. The something.
Sure.
Yeah. And then you get one like this. It's like, number 12, Grimmauld Place.
Yeah. I also
must be an important place.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important, but like I always like to use it as in, like, what are we going to be learning about this chapter? What's going to be the thing? And then it's like an address, and it's like, well, okay, we already got the address.
I was going to say, that's like the last line of the previous chapter. Not helping me out here.
That's weird. Yeah. New characters.
New characters. We do have one. By the name of Kreacher.
Oh, boy, do we ever.
So, one little correction. I know a couple people have it in the emails.
Okay.
But I have to give you a pass because it was being read to you.
Yeah.
But for future reference, it's Kreacher.
Really?
So like teacher
with
a KR at the beginning.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Not as in the actual creature.
Yes. So, I mean, she's definitely, that's what she's going for, obviously.
Right.
In the writing. But she came up with a little twist in the spelling.
Sure. I'll change it in my notes right now so I remember.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to call out our headmistress, Mel B.
Uh-huh.
Who I was going to applaud her because she actually sent in an email really early this week. But she just
sick of me harassing her.
Just 10 minutes ago sent me another email. Said after reading your notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Said, P.S. It's Kreacher with a K, Josh. And she spelled it with like creature and just changed the C to a K.
Uh-huh.
Still got it wrong, Mel. Anyway. Let's see. Where are we going with this chapter? That's
Yeah.
our only new character.
What a new character it was.
Yes.
Actually,
number 12.
Learn much about it.
we don't. It's almost just a mention, really.
That's all I need though with magical creatures, though, Matt.
Yep.
Yeah. Get it?
Magical creature. Yes, indeed.
So they're in this house, Matt.
Yeah.
They get here. This is
appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like a magical inflatable house. It reminded me of like a stationary night bus of sorts, like
sure.
It just kind of comes and goes as it pleases and squeezes in between things without disturbing.
Muggles don't notice it.
Not at all. Fascinating. Magical world. And see, like, this is the kind of stuff that makes me think, okay, of course those trunks are magical, right? Like, why would these stupid kids be lugging around these stupid heavy trunks when everything else around them in their entire existence is magical and inflates and is weightless and things, Matt, things. It's a pretty horrible house, though.
Yeah.
I put in my notes that it makes the Shrieking Shack look like a place of luxury, which that was a pretty horrible place.
It was, yeah. But I would agree. Yeah, I would much rather spend the night in the Shrieking Shack. I mean, when you get back to it, though, the rumors surrounding the Shrieking Shack were kind of fabricated.
Yeah.
For a certain purpose.
Sure.
I mean, basically to protect Lupin.
Right.
Back in the day, like that's why it was there.
But it was still an old, dilapidated house that.
Well, yeah, because no one actually lived in it. Like they just built a house for the purpose of being a house.
Sure.
Like they just wanted a building there, and it's like, oh yeah, that's haunted. Okay, sure. But yeah, going back to number 12, Grimmauld Place, I don't know how much you remember and how much you actually explored, but I wanted to bring you back to Lego Dimensions.
Okay.
The video game, for those who might not be familiar.
Uh-huh.
But I know you did explore the Harry Potter Adventure World a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember this place?
No.
Okay. Because this is one of those things. It's like, that's kind of a nice surprise that they kind of give away. Like from what I remember, you don't actually go into the house at all. But there was like a puzzle you solved, and then number 12 kind of sprang out of nowhere. Like it appeared kind of like it's described in the book.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know if you actually did that or what it was, but it was one of those things that kind of made me worry a little bit. It's like, can we let you play this? I'm like, it's just gonna be a building that magically appears. He's not gonna think anything of it.
And without context, I would just be like, okay, well, sure, that happens.
Yep. But
now okay, I will say, Matt, say that there's another house in Lego Dimensions that I actually took a picture of and sent you a picture of, and I asked Valerie about, and she refused to tell me. And that house, that is burned into my memory, Matt, because I swore up and down. First, I thought, okay, that must be Hagrid's hut. Nope, not Hagrid's hut.
Nope.
Then I thought, okay, that must be the Burrow. Like, that's where the Weasleys live, right? Nope, you shot me down there, too. It's not the Shrieking Shack. It's clearly not this. So that house is still a mystery to me, Matt.
It's true.
And I will not forget what that house looks like. So the moment we get some sort of description about what that house is in this book, I'm going to lose my collective mind. Because that mystery will be solved in my head. But you're saying it's not this house.
It is not this house.
Okay. Fair
enough.
Cross another one off the list.
I'm trying to think. You will at least meet let's see. You will meet a resident of that house in this book.
Oh, why would you do this to me, Matt?
We're getting closer.
All right. Fair enough.
We're getting closer.
Well, this house is horrible. It's pretty much unlivable. Yet, here's this whole group of wizards and witches living in it.
Yep.
Men, women, children, this whole community going on in this house.
Exactly. I might even say in order.
Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah.
Ron, Hermione, Ginny, Bill, Charlie, Mr. Weasley.
The whole clan.
Mundungus. Everybody's here, Matt. It's a party.
Good old dung. Yep.
It's a wizard and witch party. And I'm happy to be here. It's about time, Matt. Dang it, it's about time we get back to the trio.
Yeah.
You know?
Get them all together.
So many things going on here.
So, okay. Going into the house.
Yeah.
One of the first things Harry notes, and it's just kind of written off right away.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you caught it. There's a serpent on the door.
The handle, right?
It might have been like the knocker or
maybe?
something.
Okay, yeah. I did catch that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That I mean, from what we know about snakes and serpents, yeah, that seems like an odd thing to be on this door.
Yeah.
Especially given its purpose.
Then again, they're all pretty much undercover, right? Like, this is like the stakeout house. Like, this is where the FBI agents are posted up and doing a stakeout from.
Yep.
Which means that, like, they're going to try to make whatever building, room, house that they're in not appear to be filled with FBI agents, right?
Fair enough.
So, by putting a serpent on the old knocker out front, indication is like, you know what? Old creepy house, serpent on the door. Yeah, I'm probably not going to go check that house out. It's not worth being curious about.
Only problem being is that no one can see this house, even if you are a wizard, unless you know about it.
It's true.
Because that was the whole thing, is why Harry had to memorize the location of it.
Right.
He had to be informed of it, and then memorize it, and then think about it for it to even appear.
That's a good point. Well, we find out that Sirius Black's house.
Yep.
Formerly of his mom.
Yep.
We don't know what kind of stuff she was into. You know? Maybe she was a Death
True.
Eater.
I mean, they have house elves, heads of house elves mounted on the wall.
Which, confession time.
Yeah?
We talked about, or we learned about house elves right off the bat. I think I definitely missed the part where they talked about house elves' heads being mounted on the wall. Because I'm pretty sure, like, in my head, it was just like we're walking past a whole bunch of house elf heads. Like, they're just, like, lined up in a row, like, waiting to serve, you know, the guests of the house.
Oh.
That's how I understood it the first time. So I'm thinking, okay, for one, Hermione's going to be losing her mind because this house is filled with house elves that are just there to serve all these wizards and witches while they are basically hiding. But then, later on, when we actually are introduced to Kreacher, and it's kind of reiterated that the house elves' heads are mounted from previous house elves that served the house, and I was like, oh, wow, I totally misinterpreted what those house elves at the beginning were doing. Like, there was only one house elf in this house. The rest are all
there's
dead.
only one active house elf, because it is as Harry was heading up the stairs. I mean, not to mention the umbrella stand that was a severed troll's leg.
Sure, yeah.
Can talk about that another day, but passing a row of shrunken heads mounted on plaques on the wall, a closer look showed Harry that the heads belonged to house elves.
See, I think I missed that entire sentence before that, and I just heard the heads belong to house elves.
Sure.
So in my head, I'm just picturing, like I said, just a row of house elves just standing there and, like, Okay, what do you need?
Yep.
We got you.
Yep.
So then when I found out they're all dead and mounted, I'm like, oh, Hermione is definitely losing her mind now. Like, this is a bigger issue than I thought to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, I think the a couple of reasons we don't see Hermione go off is, one, Harry's taking charge here. He takes precedence over anything else at this point. But I think there's also just so much other dark, creepy stuff going on in this house that it gets kind of lost.
Right. And see, like, if you go back and read my notes, like when I mentioned house elves for the first time, I just put house elves! ! And I said, I'm sure Hermione is losing her mind over this. Again, totally thinking that the house is just filled with lively servant house elves.
Yeah, like we're down in the Hogwarts kitchens again.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like, I was having, like, this conflict with myself of, like, this dark, creepy, scary, falling apart house, but, like, it's just filled with life and these happy little house elves running around doing all this wonderful stuff, and it was a mess. My head was a mess last night, Matt. Sure. This is a lot of new information to process.
Yeah.
Anyway, house elves. I started getting mad at Harry again. Right?
Yep.
Because he was getting super mad at Ron and Hermione. And this whole confrontation that they had was super uncomfortable.
Definitely.
I did not like it.
It's almost, I think, a case of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Granted, he did have a lot of comments that he directed at them. Like, he was angry with them in part. Right. But it's also just what, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Like, it landed right then, and he just exploded. Mm-hmm. And they happened to be there.
Yeah. I get that. But it's just going back to, like, book 4, when him and Ron are fighting, and Hermione was stuck in the middle, and that, like, they are best when they are good with each other, and
absolutely,
like, that's like one relationship that I could count on in this book. So when it's kind of tested and put to its limits, it makes me super uncomfortable about everything else, because when they're not working cohesively, they get pulled apart even farther, and it's not a good situation. And Harry was saying some super mean things to him, and I get it, like you said, wrong place, wrong time for them. But after everything that they've been through together up until this point, like, I just wanted to, like, just grab him by the collar and shake him and just say, "Shut up, please, just stop it. This is not okay right now." You know, not to them. You're directing your anger about the situation towards them, and they don't deserve it. You know? Because they clearly weren't purposely trying to hurt him, or, you know, like, they were following orders, they were doing what they were told, they were being the kids that they're supposed to be, you know?
Sure.
And then this, like, this isn't like fun playtime like they've had in the past, where, like, they were told one thing, but then you go and do something else because you could get away with it, you know, a little bit. Like, this was serious business for the first time in their lives that they've had to deal with something like this, and they took it seriously. And it's just, I just wanted Harry to just stop and breathe and, you know, take a couple good breaths and realize, hey,
take a chill pill.
I'm mad at the wrong people here. You know, these are my friends. They have my back. Yep. They were put in a very uncomfortable situation as well. You know, like, they weren't happy that they couldn't communicate with him and they couldn't tell him what was going on. Like, it was killing them. You know it was.
Yeah. So,
again, Harry's just an emotional teenager right now, and it's a little rough to read sometimes, Matt.
I understand.
Yeah.
I
was yelling at him through my notes, and I'm just like,
I will admit, I kind of try to get through these parts as quickly as possible. I tend to not take a lot of notes during these parts.
Yeah.
And it's definitely uncomfortable, and it just, wish he didn't have to explode like that,
Right.
but ultimately it's probably better.
Yeah.
It sucks in the moment for sure.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it sucks for you now. I mean, how many times have you read this and it's still, you don't like reading it, you know?
Yep.
Which doesn't make me excited to ever read this again. Like, I'm thinking, oh, you know, first time sucks, but the next it gets easier. No, it's not going to.
No, not so much.
And that's intentional, but character building, I guess.
Yep.
Speaking of happy-go-lucky things, extendable ears. Friend George are at it again.
Strike again, yes.
Oh boy. First of all, I'm glad that it wasn't just Ron. I'm glad that it was the entire Weasley clan there.
Yeah.
Including Bill and Charlie. Like, that was a nice surprise. With the exception of the ousted Percy, but more on him later.
Yeah.
All the good Weasleys are there, and that's what's most important. Ginny's there, and Ginny, like, was around in these next couple chapters more than I think she was in the entire book 4.
Absolutely.
Which is inspiring, and I want to see more from Ginny, because, like, she was a nice addition to book 2, obviously.
Yeah.
And then 3, she was still around. I mean, 4, she had, like, her big moment with Neville, but, like, other than that, she's kind of the forgotten Weasley at Hogwarts.
Well, yeah, she's the youngest one. It's and yeah, we just don't get a lot of interaction with her. Like, you think about it, like, Harry just naturally has more interaction with the rest of the Weasleys. Like,
sure.
Ron is his, like, the best friend.
Right.
Fred and George, she at least plays Quidditch with.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, that's about it at Hogwarts.
Sure.
Well, Percy was
Percy.
Yeah, I mean, he was a prefect, and so we had a couple of run-ins with him from time to time. But Ginny, I mean, she was a year younger and never really had any reason to interact with her that much.
No, but we know that she was crushing on Harry Potter. Like,
yeah.
In her younger days.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, that's probably gone away. And she's getting older. Harry's getting older. I don't know. Like, I want Ginny to be in a bigger role, whether or not, like, that ends up being, like, her chasing Harry in a romantic way. Maybe the tables turn and he starts pursuing her. He's like, hey, Ron, your little sister, she's not so little anymore. Like, this was once a weird thing when she wasn't in school to, she's only a year younger, you know?
Sure.
You know, she was at the ball. She was dancing, you know. So
she got all dressed up, you know?
Yeah, right. So, I don't know. Like, maybe, like, this is a sign of better things to come for Ginny. Like, her being in these 2 chapters quite a bit more. And she's not just, like, a tag-along to Hermione like she was.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of seen... I guess this is when we've seen her the most in previous books, is, like, when we're at the Burrow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And right now, number 12 Grimmauld Place is kind of the replacement for the Burrow for the time being.
Right.
It's housing the entire Weasley clan, plus some.
Which is a tall order in its own right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but before, like, she was always just, like, Hermione and Ginny tagging along type of thing. But, like, here, Ginny is just being Ginny as her own separate character.
Sure.
And I like that. And it makes me optimistic for things to come.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, she's getting older. Before, she was just kind of hung on with Hermione and was learning from her, I guess you could say.
Yep. Anyway, back to the twins.
Yeah.
Fred and George, extendable ears. In my head, right?
Yep.
Like I'm sure most people did, first time they're reading about extendable ears, you have a decent vision of what you would expect extendable ears to look like. Okay. I'm thinking Christmas elf type of ears. You know, that maybe like they would look normal, but then when you're trying to listen in, they get a little bit bigger, they get a little bit taller, like actual extendable ears, you know?
Okay.
That's not what happened here.
Not so much.
This is like a flesh-colored string.
Yeah. I think. Okay, so I don't usually like to give away too much.
Okay.
But if I recall,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that does make the cut into the movie.
Oh. Yes.
And so I think I like the interpretation of that pretty well from what I remember.
In the movie?
In the movie, yeah.
Okay.
And so, like, because in my mind, it kind of fits what you're going after, but still fits the description given in the book.
Oh.
If that makes any sense. Like, I think it'll be better. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I think it'll be better when you get to see it, actually.
Okay.
But, like, I think they did a good job with it.
Okay.
We'll just put it that way.
Sure.
And so like, there is definitely a string element to it.
Okay.
But that's not all there is.
Okay. That's fair. But the book definitely made it sound like it's kind of just a flesh-colored string, right?
That's all we saw at times, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Weird, funny things. The twins being the twins. Creating all kinds of stuff that Mrs. Weasley does not allow or think too kindly of. What's new, right?
Yeah.
Snape returns.
Snape is back, yes.
He comes strolling in, being Snape.
Yeah, and not where you necessarily expect him. I mean, we expect to see him when we get back to Hogwarts, but we're not there yet.
No, he's not a social gathering type of guy.
No.
He's not like, you know what? There's some people hanging out at this house. I'm going to go swing by and see how they're doing. That's not him. But then again, he's on a secret mission that we don't know about yet, so I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable that he's there.
So, yeah, we basically learned that he's somehow part of the Order.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing his own thing, and he comes in from time to time to, like, report on his findings or whatever he's been up to.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, he's not a social gathering type of person. He doesn't even stay for dinner. He doesn't sleep over. He's here on business.
Yeah.
That's all it is to him.
Sure.
He's in and he's out.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, I mean, okay, I guess they do at the castle, but in an even more enclosed space, if Snape decided to spend the night.
Oh, goodness.
Or, I mean, even just.
I feel like you would just stand over Harry's bed and just watch him sleep all night. Just to make sure he didn't get up in the middle of the night to go do something.
Yeah. It was Potter. I don't know how he did it. I saw him sleeping in bed all night, but it was Potter.
I also can't imagine him and old Sirius would be good old chums on a regular basis if they were spending that much time together.
Yeah, or if Harry and Snape had to eat a meal sitting across from each other.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Just staring at each other the entire time. Like, it's one thing when he's at the teacher's table,
right,
at the head table, but yeah, if they had to sit across from each other. Oof.
Yeah, Snape, you can come, get your business done, and leave. That's for the best for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Bill and Fleur Delacour.
Yeah,
they're a hot item at Gringotts. It appears.
It does appear.
That's interesting. Are we gonna have more Fleur in the book, or is that kind of like a? I don't know.
Well, I mean, like I said, it already looks like we're having more Bill. So
yeah, but like, I don't know. We'll see. I can't imagine she's going to be too instrumental in things going forward, but
sure.
It's nice to know where she's at, and she's doing something. Victor, I'm sure he's still riding around on the Quidditch World Cup team, so he's fine.
Yeah.
Trying to say Hermione's name still. Then we found out about Percy. Percy.
Yeah.
Wow, he things went south with him real fast, didn't they?
Yeah, he certainly seems to be headed down a dark path.
Yeah, and at first I'm just like, I have the same thought that everybody else in the house did, or at least in the Weasley household, of they're totally using Percy, the Ministry is, to get to Mr. Weasley and to get to Dumbledore and blah, 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 blah. Like, Percy would be the perfect person for that that role, because he is so easily manipulated, especially with something as easy as just like a little bit of kudos, a little bit of job well done, pat on the back type of thing. Like, he will be your best friend for life. He is super loyal to the people that he looks up to, and that's people in positions that he eventually wants to move into.
Exactly. People who can influence his future.
Yeah. He's not going to step over anybody, but he's definitely going to make sure that he is right there, so if something happens, he's next in line.
Yeah.
For his own sake, But he's still super loyal to those people. Like, he's not trying to sabotage anybody to take their jobs or anything like that, that I know of.
Yeah, but I mean... I guess the biggest problem, though, is that he is trading loyalty for these people at his job for loyalty to his family.
Yeah, right. But because there's more value in his mind...
In his mind, yes.
Of being loyal to the employer and not the family. He wants to be... He wants to be better than his dad. He wants more for himself than he feels his dad ever gave them.
Yeah.
And it's tough. He's in a tough situation. But so like this whole time I'm thinking, okay, Percy is easily going to be manipulated by the Ministry. Like, they are totally going to use him. Poor Percy. And then I stop and think, it's like, no, wait a second. This is all Percy's choice. Like, he is definitely...
This is exactly what he's been...
he's
been headed towards this entire time.
He's offering himself up,
Yeah.
So I don't know what Percy's deal is. Like, he's a strange cat, and I'm scared of Percy and this path that he's going down. Not necessarily for Percy, but I'm scared for the Weasleys because of Percy.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I mean, we can already kind of see that it's making Mr. Weasley's job that much harder.
Yeah,
because they work at the same place. They both work at the Ministry, but they are on very different sides of things right now.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't like the direction it's going. We've been kind of trained to be cautious and wary of Percy from day one. And this is just... There's a long game with Percy here that I am not excited to get to the end of.
Sure.
So... I'm sure he will pop up here and there as the story progresses.
Speaking of popping up,
yeah,
that reminds me, Fred and George can apparate now.
Oh, can they?
And they will whenever possible.
You need to go up the flight of stairs, apparate.
Yep.
Time is galleons, Matt.
Yep, time is galleons.
Never forget that. Why waste your time climbing upstairs when you can just apparate?
Yeah.
And I love how they get called out for it, too. It's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should every chance. And they're just like, why? Why not?
Yeah.
Give us a reason why we shouldn't, They're doing it effectively. They're doing it good. Now, when they apparate, do they apparate together or individually?
No. It's done individually. They just, as twins, I think they kind of have that hive mind. They know where they're going.
Okay.
They just do it at the same time.
I assume so, but I don't know all the rules with apparating,
Sure.
Like, if you're holding hands and one person does it, like, does the other person apparate with you? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Because we saw it in Fantastic Beasts has ruined everything that I know about in the Wizarding world. Because we saw a group apparate together.
Yeah. I can't deny that is a thing.
Like, they grab somebody and one person apparates and they're both going to a different place together.
Yep.
Jacob got apparated 1,000 times in that movie.
We will cover that eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't something that was new for Fantastic Beasts.
Okay, fair enough.
That's something that we knew about. We just haven't covered yet.
So there are more rules to apparating than meets the eye, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Look at me narrowing down these crazy stuff. Fred and George. What a duo. Does Hermione still have Rita in a jar?
As far as we know.
That's fine.
As far as we know. We haven't heard anything different.
Okay.
She does mention that she hasn't been writing for the Daily Prophet.
Right.
Which makes you kind of assume, like, there's a reason why she hasn't been writing.
Well, she said, like, I think the line was, like, she's up holding her end of the bargain or her end of the deal or something like that or whatever it is. And it's like, well, wasn't it that she would release her if she agreed not to write for, like, a year or 2 years or something like that?
Yeah, that could be.
So I guess there wasn't, like, a clear one way or the other. In my head, it's way funnier if Hermione still has her in a jar with, like, a little stick and a leaf and, a couple little drops of water in there. And, like we all did with bugs when we were kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the best vision for me of how Rita is being treated still. So.
That's what she deserves after last year.
Pretty much. Crookshanks got a couple mentions in this chapter.
He did?
You best believe my eyes were narrowing every time his name was said, Matt. There's a reason he was brought up many times. He wasn't brought up, like, pretty much at all in book 4.
Yeah?
But now, Crookshanks' heavy chapter, I'm back on the train, Matt. Crookshanks is not who we think he is. Kreacher is exactly who we think he is.
Yes.
He's a crazy old house elf.
Indeed.
Maybe a little too crazy. According to the wizards there. But you know what? Like, living in that house alone, like, I can't blame the house elf for maybe losing a few marbles here and there.
Yeah, I mean, living by yourself in this dark house, I mean, like I said, as far as we know, we find out it belongs to Sirius Black, and he used to be in Azkaban.
Right.
So who was at the house?
I mean, didn't they say, like, it was empty for, like, 10 years or something?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't just making that number up.
No, I think that was accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So, like, the whole time, the house elf is just in there.
Yep.
By himself, and potentially really difficult to live with painting, which we know all about at Hogwarts. Like, yeah, I mean, house elves can only take so much, Matt. And this is why spew is so important, because house elf mental wellness is important. It's super important, We can't be losing house elves due to just, being forgotten and abandoned. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Spew is back, Matt. Better than ever before.
Sounds like it could be.
I mean, when I say better than ever before, that's a very low bar to jump over, because it didn't really
also true.
Get off the ground in the first place. But, you know, a year has gone by. Hermione's gotten older. She's gotten wiser. She's gotten smarter. She's gotten more determined. I feel like this is going to be a big year for Spew.
We'll find out.
We better. Because house elves warm my heart. Even the crazy ones. Named Kreacher with a K. Spelled like teacher with a KR. Melby. Hope you're listening. Here's one random thought before we finish up this chapter.
Sure.
I feel like we kind of got reminded that Tonks is super clumsy several times.
Yep.
And I feel like that's going to come back at some point. Her clumsiness is going to be important.
That's her big downfall, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it seems actually kind of rare that she is an Auror already at such a young age. But she basically, you know, passed the test, passed the exam, passed the bar, whatever, you know, whatever example you want to use.
She almost failed the stealth part of it.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, past the disguise portion with flying colors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, that one fatal flaw, if you will, who knows where it's gonna land her.
Yeah, I just feel like we were reminded of it far too often to not come back at some point, for better or for worse. So we'll see. I still love her. You know, no big deal. We'll get past it together.
Yep.
Finally, this chapter ended with the big reveal of somebody who we've already talked about a few times, because I forget how things work in this book after reading a couple chapters. Sirius is back.
Yes.
And this is Sirius's house, and the awful painting is Sirius's mom.
Yep.
And hallelujah, we got Sirius, we got Lupin, we got the Weasleys. Like, this is just a great time, you know? With the exception of Snape hanging around, like, everybody's cool, you know?
Yeah.
I'm even fine with Mundungus being there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I wasn't at first, right?
I mean, I still have, especially in the next chapter, a few comments about Mundungus, but...
I mean, the grand scheme of things... you know, I still am more uncomfortable with Snape hanging around.
Yeah, I would rather have Dung hanging around than, even like Sirius's mother. Like, right. So he can be preferable, I guess, in some situations.
Sure. I just don't think he should be relied on for anything.
Yeah.
But he adds a certain element to the group that no one else would probably adequately be able to fulfill.
Yep, he's there for a reason.
Yep. So anyway, Sirius's mom. She's a painting. She's awful. She's horrible.
Yep. Screams a lot.
Hope we don't have to deal with her too often, but definitely is making the living situation uncomfortable.
Yeah. Just remember to tiptoe through the hallways.
But that leads us to chapter 5, Matt.
Chapter 5. Our title chapter. The Order of the Phoenix.
Yes. Just right into it, huh?
Yep.
All right.
Few brief mentions of new characters. I didn't really meet them at all. There was a goblin named Ragnak. And Millicent Bagnold, we learned, was the previous Minister of Magic.
Ah, right.
That Fudge took over for.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
I will say, this chapter was a lot. Emotionally, mentally, extremely draining.
Sure.
You know, it had its high points, and it had some very low points.
Absolutely.
But overall, like, it was a very powerful chapter, and I understand why you included it into this week's reading. You know, like we were talking about off air, usually when you do 3 chapters in 1 week, it's because one of them is super short, or all of them are relatively short. All of them were, like, normal, decent length. You just added this third one in here because it fit so well with what was going on previously.
Yeah. It just felt right to, I guess, give you a complete introduction to the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like that's what the other chapters were leading into.
Right.
And I know sometimes they'll leave you hanging, but
Sure.
it felt right this time to give you that full introduction.
Right.
Like we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah. We won't stay long on this chapter. You know, for the sake of this episode not being 8 hours. There are a couple quick things I want to hit on, but then there was, like, one major scene that was, like, the important part of this chapter.
Yep.
First of all, I have a serious question here. Not like a serious black question, but like a serious, like, I'm being serious question.
Yep, that gets problematic after a while.
A little bit.
Go for it.
So he was talking about with Mrs. Weasley about cleaning the house. You know, like, that's pretty much all they've been doing for the last month is, like, trying to get this house inhabitable again. Clean it up, make it kind of warm and welcoming, maybe. I don't know. That's crazy talk. My question, can they not use magic to just clean this sucker and fix it up and repair it and call it good? Like, I am really confused by the rules of magic and how they could be used.
Well, a couple of things I can point you to, and a couple of things I'll just give you. When we're talking about cleaning, go back to chapter 3, when they're in Harry's room.
Right.
And Tonks uses magic to pick up everything in Harry's room and throw it in the chest.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And she even goes on to mention a little bit more, like, how my mom was so good about this, you know, everything would fit in there nice and neat. And, you know, she had this little, like, flick she could do, and the socks would even fold themselves and all that type of thing.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there is magic that can be used to help clean things and make things go faster. Right?
Right.
But the biggest thing in this house, and oddly enough, as strange as it might sound, cleaning will be addressed a lot in the coming chapters.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay. But the biggest thing is that, like, when they were in Harry's room at the Dursleys, it was just cleaning up all of Harry's odds and ends and putting them away.
Sure.
What the problem is with this house is, yeah, they're going to use magic to clean, but they're not cleaning, I guess, what I would call a muggle mess.
Okay.
This is a magical mess.
Which makes it tricky.
Yeah. Like, we even get a couple of mentions here of some, I guess, creatures that might be part of the problem. And so it's not something, I mean, even with magic, the problem is magical, so it's tougher to deal with than a muggle problem.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
In a way. I was just imagining, like, Sirius on his hands and knees, like, scrubbing the floors, and it's like, that's the way, like, it was portrayed, that, like, they're going room by room and, like, deep scrubbing everything.
Well, like, yeah, if that's all they needed to do, yeah, they could have that done in a day or two.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
They would use magic, no problem. The problem is that it's deeper than that.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I mean, there's a mystery creature in a desk. Can't wait to find out what that is. Mrs. Weasley thinks it might be a boggart, but who knows?
Yep.
You know? Lupin will find out. And then doxies in the curtains? What are doxies?
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay. That makes me excited at least for what's to come. Like, it was just casually thrown out there, and I had to stop and try to remember if we've ever talked about doxies before, and I'm pretty sure we haven't.
Yeah, if we have, they were just briefly mentioned. Like, we haven't really spent time with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll find out. I'm excited.
Yep.
Goblins were mentioned. There's a question as to whether or not they're staying neutral or if they're going to be picking a side here.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And, I mean, the interesting thing I found about this mention is here that they talk about how they have been denying the goblins freedoms over many, many years.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, you have control over these goblins? Who's in control? What kind of freedoms are you denying them?
Right.
Like, we touched on this briefly last week, how, wizards aren't necessarily the best of people.
Sure. Especially when it comes to creatures that they use.
Yeah. And so it kind of makes you wonder what's going on with these goblins.
Yeah.
And, but yeah.
Money talks. I hope they stay neutral like the Swiss, like just worry about the money and that's it.
Exactly. And that's kind of a good comparison. Like you said, that if they stay neutral and you got Switzerland and you got all our Swiss banks and we have the goblins, they're staying neutral and they have, well, Gringotts is the bank basically. Sure. But yeah, we've always kind of said goblins just don't care.
Yeah.
As long as they have their money.
I mean, they could definitely benefit from staying neutral because, they will, benefit from both sides of it, from both sides of the coin, essentially.
Yeah, coin, yeah.
Both sides of the galleon, Matt.
Yes.
So, interesting. I'm just little tidbits about the goblins that, interest me, pique my interest a little bit. So.
That goes back to, a couple of books ago, you were wondering about the goblin rebellions.
Yeah. Oh, sounds like they've fought for something before.
Maybe tying into that.
We'll see. Okay, the twins definitely need to stay away from Mundungus. He is not a good influence on those two characters.
Yeah,
like comedic relief. Like he has some stories to tell. He's a criminal, and that's why they keep him around because he knows people on the street that no one else would be able to talk to. But he is incredibly loyal to Dumbledore, that we've been told. So I feel okay with him being there. I just don't feel okay with him being any sort of role model to the twins. Yeah.
It's one of those, if Dumbledore trusts him, we'll trust him, but yeah, there's a reason he's not like a teacher at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
It's like Dumbledore keeps him around because he has his purpose. He associates with people that, wouldn't talk to Dumbledore.
Right.
They wouldn't trust Dumbledore with giving him information, but they'll talk to Dung.
Right.
For sure.
Right. So it's okay. Like I'm still a little perturbed that he, let Harry get attacked by Dementors. But I'm concerned with how impressionable the twins are. They just need to stay away from him. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
They have bright futures ahead of them, and he will take them down paths that they are not ready to go. Ludo, almost, took him astray. So,
yeah,
think of what this guy could do. Goodness. Now it's time to talk about what we're all here for.
Yep.
Voldy.
He's back.
He's back. Now, this second half of the chapter was intense, and it was uncomfortable, and it was an emotional roller coaster, up and down, all the way around. a lot to process, a lot to try to make sense of everything. The Sirius versus Molly Weasley argument was one of the most intense scenes up until this point in the series.
Yep.
You know, like, we've seen deaths, we've seen other arguments, we've seen a lot of bad folks, we've seen all kinds of stuff, but the emotions that flared up when Mrs. Weasley and Sirius Black are arguing back and forth, and Harry was kind of stuck in the middle of it, was almost too much to handle at one point.
I believe it.
You know? Because it got really personal. At first, you know, it starts off casual, back and forth, trying to... Basically, they're arguing about whether or not Harry needs to know anything about what's going on.
Yeah.
Sirius is of the mindset.
How much does Harry need to know?
Right. If anything, you know.
Yep.
If it was Mrs. Weasley, she's in the camp of nothing, per Dumbledore's request.
Yeah. I mean, he's been purposely withholding the information all summer so far. Yeah. So why should that change now?
But Sirius sees Dumbledore's words of only what he needs to know as the green light of he needs to know everything, so I'm going to tell him everything. So you have two extremes on either side of this argument.
Yep.
And they are very strong-willed characters.
Yep.
That are not going to give in to each other. Like, they are going to dig in their heels, and they are going to come to blows and butt heads on this endlessly. Like, these are going to be like, you know, like, you see, like, those videos of, like, stag deers that get, like, their antlers locked in with each other, and they just get all twisted and turned around, and they get so stuck that they can't pull each other. Like, that's going to be them, you know, because they're so, both of them are so stubborn and so strong-minded that neither one of them are going to back down. And it took Lupin to kind of, you know, tip the scale in one direction. Yeah.
Yep.
Because he's the calm-headed one. He's, again, Lupin is super smooth, right? Absolutely. Like, it's hard to be mad at that guy, and it's hard to argue with that guy.
Exactly. Everybody likes Lupin. No one wants to disagree with him.
I mean, Mrs. Weasley's just like, I can't believe you're taking his side, but okay, whatever. Well, you win. You know, it's like, she put up, like, no resistance at all towards Lupin and his charm.
Yeah.
Guy's amazing. I'm changing my answer. It's not Tonks. Lupin, I'm clearly the best of the advanced guard, Matt.
All right.
Let the record show. Yeah, it was heated. It was a heated argument. They were going back and forth, like I said. And then it got to the point of Sirius, you know, kind of like staking his claim as like Harry's parent because, you know, that's his godfather.
Yep.
You know, and he was given the responsibility of taking care of Harry if anything were to happen with Harry's parents, which it did, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, he might not be blood, but he's the closest they got.
Right. And even if he was gone for most of Harry's life, he still feels that obligation and that connection to him.
Yeah. Like, he wants to be there. He wants to take that role. Right.
But it was also kind of pointed out that, is it because of Harry, or is it because he's trying to hold on to those feelings that he had for his best friend, James Potter?
Yeah.
And that's a interesting question. You know,
it is.
Definitely didn't get answered here.
Nope.
But it kind of makes you stop and think, like, oh, wait, that's right. Like, in Harry's head, he's like, I finally have a parent. I finally have, you know, my godfather has finally come back. He's going to take care of me because my parents aren't here. Like, this is all about me. But maybe it's not all about Harry. Maybe it is because, you know, Sirius is still devastated that he lost his best friend in the world. You know? And, like, he's doing it to hold on to that friendship that he had. So it's hard to say. And then, so we have all that, and it's like, okay, wow, this is getting deep with Sirius Black and his emotions and feelings towards Harry Potter. And then Mrs. Weasley, she's like, hold on, wait a second. I love this kid like he's one of my own as well. You know, like, I'm as much blood relative as you are, Sirius Black, and, you know, I didn't know him as a baby like you did, but the last 4 years, like, that's been my kid, you know? Like, he is a Weasley by extension.
Yeah, we've talked about that a number of times.
Yeah.
I mean, just from the first Christmas at Hogwarts.
Right.
That kind of solidified it right then and there.
Yeah.
It's like she treated him almost better than her kids.
Yeah. He's a brown-haired Weasley through and through, you know? Like,
Yep.
she defends him, she sticks up for him, she protects him, like, she mothers him like she does any of her other children. You know, like, she might be a little bit more lenient with him because he's not officially, technically a Weasley.
Yep.
But
She'll allow things that she wouldn't necessarily with her own kids.
right. But at the same time, when push comes to shove, like in this circumstance, Mama Bear comes out and he is a Weasley as any of the other Weasley kids are.
Yep.
And she will fight to the death to protect him as she would any of her other kids. And it's like, if you're forced to, like, I felt uncomfortable because I, as the reader, almost felt like I was going to need to choose between Sirius Black and Molly Weasley as far as, like, who do I trust more as a parent and guardian of Harry Potter?
Yeah. J.K. throws you for a twist. You turn the page and it becomes a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Like, yeah, like, that would be horrible. Like, I was starting to kind of get really nervous that this is going to go in a direction that was going to make me uncomfortable or unhappy with one of them. But then, you know, thanks to Lupin and his smooth talking ways, everything is kind of diffused a little bit. And then in hindsight, you look back at it and it's like, you weren't being forced to choose one or the other. You were just being made to recognize that he has a strong support system from so many different people in so many different ways that mean so many different things to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, what he means to Sirius Black is something that completely different than what he means to Molly Weasley. And something completely different to Dumbledore. And something completely different to Hagrid. And, you know, even Lupin and Mad-Eye Moody and Mr. Weasley. Like, they all have different connections with Harry Potter. But when you step back from the heated argument that's going on, you step back from the table and you look at the entire room, it's like he's in good hands, you know.
Yep.
No matter which way it goes. So that was a lot, Matt. That was big time, you know.
Yeah.
But finally, Mrs. Weasley's just like, fine. Tell him anything. And then it's all hands on deck with all the other kids, right? And this was, I think, my favorite part of the chapter. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is not going to go over well. Like, there's no way you could just tell Harry Potter and nobody else, right?
Yeah.
Twins make a good case. They're officially 18 now. They're still in school, but they're of age. Mr. Weasley kind of helped them with that. So they're in. They can stay for the convo. And then you look at Ron and Hermione, and the same thing popped in my head as what happened in the book of, there is not a chance in the world that once this conversation is done, Harry doesn't go right upstairs and tell them both exactly what was just said to him, verbatim.
With the exception of he's feeling that's what they did to him all summer and he wants to return the favor.
Sure. He had a slight little twinge of...
But once again, like you said, they're better when they're together. And deep down, he knows that. And so his instinct ultimately is to share it with them.
And even if he wanted to keep it from him, and he's walked upstairs all cocky and was like, "I'm gonna keep a secret," he'd walk in there and he would immediately just start talking. Like, he wouldn't be able to even control himself.
Sure.
So they're allowed to stay, also, because duh,
Yep.
Poor Ginny. Mrs. Weasley, like, there is one kid that I am able to control in this house right now, and I am going to put every effort I can into parenting like nobody's business right now.
Yeah.
Poor Ginny.
I would not want to be Ginny at that point.
She didn't even do anything wrong. She was just, she got the blowback from Mrs. Weasley's emotional state of mind.
I mean, she's essentially just turned into Harry. Now she's the one person who is being left out.
Yeah. So then Sirius Black kind of lays it all out for Harry, right? What's going on? The gist of it, after sitting there listening to everything that's going on, like, I pretty much summed it up as in Dumbledore we trust, right?
Yep.
Like, there's this whole big plot, there's this whole big scheme, all these pieces are moving, all these people are doing different covert operations here and there and everywhere. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, everybody is just in the agreement of, in Dumbledore we trust.
Well, I mean, that was the big thing. Like, we learned last chapter, the Order of the Phoenix, it's a secret society.
Mm-hmm.
It was founded by Dumbledore.
Right.
And
with the people that fought in the war last time.
Yeah, they're the anti-Voldemort supporters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we know, some of them are following known Death Eaters, some are out trying to recruit more members, that sort of thing. It's just kind of...
Some are trying to hunt Sirius Black.
Yes. Everything they can do prior to, who knows, starting another war or something. Like, they don't want to get to that point, but they have to prepare for it. Mm-hmm. Because that's what they think Voldemort's doing. Voldemort's trying to build his army.
Yep. So
they got to try to do the same and try to defend themselves.
Yep.
I just love the line. How do we know what's going on? Well, or what Voldemort's up to? It's like, well, Dumbledore's got a shrewd idea, and Dumbledore's shrewd ideas normally turn out to be accurate.
Yeah. It's true.
So yeah. That like you said, in Dumbledore we trust, and there you go.
The other big takeaway I had from it, before we wrap up here, is we're reminded once again that Voldy is afraid of Dumbledore.
Yep.
But then it was also kind of implied, and then kind of directly said that Fudge is also afraid of Dumbledore for different reasons.
Yeah.
But still threatened and afraid, and that kind of concerned me a little bit, because you have two people that you would think would be on different sides, but have common fear, a common enemy. That usually doesn't bode well. That usually creates allies.
Because that's the thing, is Fudge is kind of that swing vote right now.
Yeah.
And, like, Dumbledore mentioned in the last book, like, as long as you're against Voldemort, we're on the same side. Mm-hmm. But, as we learn here, Fudge is completely worried about his job. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't want to believe that Voldemort's back, because he thinks that Voldemort coming back is just a play on Dumbledore's part to get his job.
Yep.
That, I mean...
Yeah.
So, it's... And like I said, without the Ministry's support, it's going to be tough for Dumbledore's side, for the Order, to really gain any traction.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, in this circumstance, like, it's not about Fudge being on Voldy's side, but it's about Fudge seeking common ground with the Voldy because of his fear of Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Their common fear of Dumbledore. And
yeah, so while Fudge might not realize that he's helping Voldemort, he kind of is.
Right.
At least making things a little bit easier.
Yes, and far more difficult for Dumbledore.
Yes.
So, that's going to play out. I'm 100% sure of that, so we'll see. And then Mrs. Weasley finally shut it down. She's like, we have got too far with this. Like, we are getting into, like, politics here, and we're getting into, way more information about Dumbledore than Harry Potter probably needs to know at this point. And, it was getting intense, and Mrs. Weasley finally stepped in and shut it down, and Sirius was like, you know what? Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, we've hit a wall here. So, a lot, man.
Yeah.
The Order of the Phoenix, they are busy. They are trying to be as diligent as possible. They are essentially trying to keep Harry Potter safe at this point, but also, like you said, trying to build a counter army for what they fear is coming. So, here we go.
Indeed.
Book 5 is officially on now, Matt.
Going places.
Yes, sir. Oh, boy. You know what I want to do?
What's that? I
want to do some emails.
All right.
If we have any, of course.
I think it's safe to say we do.
Perfect.
All right. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I will be skipping a few of them just due to content that we've already covered.
Sure.
But let's see what we got here. Got an email from Devin here.
Hi, Devin.
It says, hey, Matt and Josh, nice to see, hear you guys finally made it to book 5. Unfortunately, I don't follow the rules and have read ahead and just finished book 5. I will continue to read ahead because I can't get enough Harry Potter, but I've decided I will reread the chapters you guys read each week so I can keep up.
You know what? If you're going to break the rules, at least, go above and beyond. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I know we had a few people breaking the rules last week, so I think we have a few more letting us know that they are too. So it says, anyways, keep up the great work, guys. So
thanks, Devin.
Thank you, Devin. Let's see here. We got an email from Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
It says, I'm a financial consultant and work from my desk at home.
Shea Goblin?
I don't think so.
Okay.
For the past 4 books, I've enjoyed listening to the podcast, but I did not take the time to read along. I realized just how much I was missing since it's been some years since I actually read and reread the books. So I downloaded book 5 onto my Kindle, and I'm feeling Josh's pain as I try not to read ahead. In reading the books, I found that I had a few questions that maybe you might have some answers to.
I got all the answers.
Well, actually, you might know. What determines who is a squib and who is a muggle?
Aha!
Why isn't Harry's Aunt Petunia considered a squib? She obviously has wizard blood in her family since her sister is a witch, so why isn't she a squib? I believe we covered that at the top of the show as well.
Yeah. But just to reiterate, Cindy,
yep.
Because their parents are not magical folk. They are not magical. They are muggles themselves. So muggles that have non-magical offspring, those offspring are considered muggles. If one or both of the parents were to be magical in some way, shape, or form, then the non-magical offspring would be considered a squib.
There you go. You're learning.
Mm-hmm. Will I remember that by next week? Not a clue. But I nailed it tonight.
You did. Next question. So much emphasis is placed on not doing magic in front of muggles, especially for underage witches or wizards. How does this work with witches who have parents who are muggles, like Hermione? It seems that there have been many times that magic was done in front of muggles, like the snake at the zoo incident in the first book. Why is this incident such a big deal? Is the Ministry of Magic trying to find something to go after Harry with? Is the Ministry of Magic under the control of Voldy?
Well, if I remember correctly, the snake incident wasn't intentional magic by Harry. Harry didn't know he was magical.
Yeah.
That was just another weird circumstance that happened to Harry Potter because he thought weird things happened to him for unexplained reasons. So he wasn't intentionally using any magic.
Yep. Yeah, definitely there isn't any law per se that really governs, I guess, what you could call underage magic.
Sure.
Before they are accepted to a magical school.
Right. They got to know the rules to break them.
Yep.
Also with the Muggle parents thing, I feel like it's somebody from the Ministry. There's probably a whole department centered around this. Probably comes to the house and sits the parents down and says, "Hey, just so you know, your kid might be a little bit different than you think. Don't be alarmed. These are the rules. This is what you have to abide by." So on and so forth. They probably have some pamphlets or some leaflets or something like that, some reading material to learn up on these sort of things. And maybe they have a Muggle parent workshop or something to learn how to be the best supportive Muggle parents to a magical offspring that they could possibly be.
Sure.
But I definitely think there's probably a whole department in the Ministry dedicated to this.
It's possible.
Because they would need to know, right? You can't hide that from your Muggle parents.
And that's the thing. I think there are exceptions. I think Hermione's parents would basically, even though they are Muggles, for the sake of these laws, are considered non-Muggle.
Right.
They have been indoctrinated into the magical world.
Yeah.
They know about the magical world. They are allowed to, so they can see magic, and they're not going to make a big deal about it at the Ministry.
Yep. They can't meddle in magic affairs, but they can know about it.
Yeah.
They could hang out in Diagon Alley. No big deal.
Yep. So as for the rest of it, there definitely is some gray area. I think some other people had some questions about that this week too. As to why, when Dobby did magic at the Dursleys, Harry got in trouble. When Tonks did magic at the Dursleys, they didn't.
Well, the Dursleys were gone.
And I think that's a big part of it too, is when Dobby did it, it was in front of Muggles. He purposely made a scene in front of the Muggles. That was his whole intention. Yeah. Whereas, when Tonks did it, they purposely sent the Dursleys out to the all England best kept suburban lawn competition.
They got them out of the house so that they could do magic in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do appreciate they left him a note though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically what it comes down to, I think, is there's a lot of qualifiers to this law.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very specific thing, and in some instances, right now where we are in the book, yes, the Ministry is definitely out to get Harry, I think.
Right.
That's just how it feels. They overreacted so quickly, and then Dumbledore stepped in and retracted everything. And it's okay, something's going on here. But generally speaking, I'm there are laws. It's just you have to look at all the factors that are in play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to use another football analogy, because everybody knows I love football. Where we are in the league right now, it's kind of what is a catch? If you follow football, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What is a catch? They have so many rules and stipulations, and they're changing it every year. It's
interpretation is important.
Yep. Yeah. So, it's just one of those weird rules, laws, whatever you want to call it. not everybody's really sure what's right and what's wrong, and somebody has to enforce it somewhere.
Sure.
But yeah.
And I mean, honestly, if I learned anything from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them at, like, if you do accidentally do magic in front of a muggle or a no-mage, you could easily just erase their mind, Men in Black style, and they will forget all about it in the first place. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you
whereas they can't give students, that kind of power and ability,
No.
Because they would totally abuse it.
Yeah, that's I think one of the best examples we have is when Harry blows up his Aunt Marge.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, obviously, Muggles saw her floating around town and stuff. And, like, I think they talk about how, they had to modify a few memories and stuff. But
sure, probably hers also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely hers. But, yeah, it's just something they deal with. There is a department that deals with that. So,
when in doubt, just refer to the specific department.
Yeah. Let's see. Cindy has a little more here.
Okay.
Says, I really enjoy your podcast, and it only emphasizes how well written the books are. It's as if the whole series was thought through, and everything eventually seems to tie together. That's very true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Keep up the great work. I also enjoy having Josh's wife on the podcast. With her, you have all three areas covered. The Muggle, someone who is oblivious to anything Harry Potter and has never read the books or seen the movies. The Professor, who is the Harry Potter expert and first read the books and then watched the movies. And this may have been autocorrect. It says Squid. I'm thinking maybe wanted Squib, but Squid almost works too.
Almost.
Who is magically aware but has no powers and watched the movies and then read the books.
Sure.
It's provided for great insights from all three of you based on three very different perspectives. Thank you for the many hours of magical fun.
You're welcome. And I'm sure we'll have Val back at some point.
I'm sure we will too.
Yeah. Unless everybody writes in and says they hated her.
It'll only take one person, right?
Yeah, probably more than one.
All right. Next email here from Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
Says, Dear Matt and Josh, this is Maddie again. I'd like to congratulate Josh on his theory of Mrs. Fig. When my mom and I heard what you said about Mrs. Fig, we started to hold a breath and could not wait to hear your reaction in this book. Sorry you have not gotten your squid painting yet, Josh. I only got out of school yesterday, which will be a few days from when you hear this. I also got back up from Florida a week ago. We were listening to your podcast Tuesday in our hotel, but I'm out of school now, and I will be able to listen more often and write in more. I love this podcast so much.
Thank you, man.
And to answer your question from last time, Josh, on why do I choose to listen to the podcast when I go to sleep, it's because I love to feel happy when I go to sleep, and this podcast just fills me with joy.
I like that. That's a great answer.
There you go.
Probably better than we deserve, but thank you.
She says, I also love to cook, so I talked to my mom about it, and she said I could try to make you guys sugar cookies and decorate them by putting golden snitches on them. I hope they'll arrive in one piece. Also, fellow Ravenclaw Matt, I was wondering what your favorite magical creature is so I can try to paint you a painting too. That's a good question.
Something Matt can't say on air because it's going to ruin the surprise.
Well...
Oh, no.
There is one of those.
Okay.
Yes. Well, okay. I'm assuming Maddie will understand, so I'll just throw names out there. One, Josh, you know.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Bowtruckles.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You know what those are.
Took a second, but yes. Yeah.
Yep. The other one I'm a fan of, Maddie, are the Thestrals. I know, Josh, you don't know what those are yet, but we'll get there.
Really hard.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Thestrals, though. So yeah, give you a few choices there.
Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, thank you indeed. Let's see. No, it's just a Petunia email. Next one from Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Says, hi, Josh and Matt. First of all, I finished last week's podcast, and I was glad to hear I wasn't the only one who caught the Nigel mishap. I should have known Atari Alex would catch that as well. Also, if Mrs. Fig had been watching Harry since he was a child, I wonder what she thought when he escaped Perfect Drive in a flying car in his second year, and the night bus in his third. Just something I was thinking about after your podcast.
I feel like because he was on with people that he knew and or magical vehicles that would keep him safe, like she didn't freak out too much. You know?
Yeah.
Like if he had gotten into some random car that like was just driving down the road, like, okay, maybe we have a little cause for concern. But she sees a night bus, she knows what's going to happen with the night bus, right?
Yeah. I think part of it is too, like, they weren't really on such high alert back then either.
That's also true.
Like this year is completely different. Sure. Like they have people watching Harry Potter 24/7 because Voldy's back.
Right.
That's the whole point of this book. That's the whole point of the Order. Yeah. That's why Dung was there. That's why Mrs. Fig was on alert. Was she still paying attention the other years? Sure. Is that maybe perhaps how Dumbledore knows some of these things ahead of time?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he has eyes and ears everywhere. Mm-hmm. So,
and you should probably just chalk it up to dumb kids doing dumb things that aren't gonna, not like you said, not too much cause for concern because Voldy wasn't back yet.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
What's the worst gonna happen? You know.
This is now on to this week's reading. This is the email I was talking about. Yeah. Why can Tonks do magic in Harry's house and not get into trouble, especially with how much trouble he's already in? The Ministry blamed Harry for Dobby's hover charm, so why wouldn't another owl come to blame Harry for Tonks's magic? Something I've always wondered. So, once again, I think it has to do with, as you mentioned before, the Muggles not being present.
Right.
Yeah. That was the biggest problem with Dobby's magic.
Also, she is like an Auror, so like...
Yep.
There is some affiliation with the Ministry there, whereas Dobby is just a freaking house elf, kind of a rogue house elf at this point,
Mm-hmm.
Not very strong connection to the Ministry there, so...
Says, I love
the Muggle thing, for sure.
Yeah. I love how nonchalantly Sirius introduces Harry to his mother. After his mother has screamed all these vile things in the hall, Sirius just ends with, I see you've met my mother. Yeah. One of the best lines out of these chapters.
I mean, what else do you say, right?
Yeah. I always enjoyed Lupin. He has such a calm presence all the time, and everyone takes him seriously. I feel he has some Dumbledore-like qualities to him. People listen to him and respect him, at least in the Order. As a werewolf, he doesn't get any respect in the world, but as one of James Potter's best friends, he is in a position of importance, and he lovingly cares for Harry and is a little calmer than Sirius. Josh, you have good taste in liking Lupin.
So far, I mean, you guys are all setting this up to be, things of grandeur with Lupin, and you could all just be setting me up for failure here. Something's going to come crashing down, and he's not going to be who I think he is, and... I hope that's not true.
Finally, Josh, what do you think the weapon might be?
I forgot about the weapon. Boy. I have not put any thought into what the weapon might be. Not yet.
That's something to think about maybe then.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to think about weapons in this world. Because we don't see weapons. We see creatures and we see magic. I don't know. I'll think about it.
All right.
I feel like it's probably going to be a while before we get an answer to it anyway, so.
Next email from Masha.
Hi, Masha.
Who says that I pronounced her name right last time.
Sweet.
Says, Dear Josh and Matt, every time I read Order of the Phoenix, I enjoy how the book pulls me in, and I'm impressed how much information is crammed into these first chapters. We now have to deal with a stupid 15-year-old who suffers from post-traumatic stress. It's not a nice thing to read when Harry goes from depressed to annoying, and I always wish he had someone to help him through his emotional chaos. Aside from that, after the initial surprises covered in the last episode, Josh's prediction concerning Mrs. Fig was brilliant. There are now new characters, more characters we already know, and in a category of his own, Mad-Eye Moody. There's even a new location. It was great to see Lupin return and distressing to follow the argument between Molly and Sirius. Now I'm curious what Josh says to the new characters, whether he has a theory concerning the weapon Voldemort is after. People want to know about that weapon.
Yeah. I'll think on that, folks. I promise.
Yep. I was about to close this email when I had an afterthought. In the podcast episode with the last chapters of Goblet of Fire, there were several moments when you, Josh, felt betrayed and were mad at everybody. At one point, you were angry with Matt. I don't recall that he had done wrong. When suddenly I thought you sounded a bit like Caps Lock Harry, and that made me think of the previous Very Sad Muggle episode. I want to thank you that you read the books with so much empathy and share with us listeners. And Matt, thank you for being such a great guide through the wizarding world.
Yeah, I do kind of take out my frustration sometimes on you guys out there and Matt specifically. And, for the most part, Matt deserves it. He he sets me up for emotional responses that he knows he's going to get. Matt's very deliberate in what he does and how he does it. He sits there all innocently and just lets me talk and babble, and the whole time he's plotting and planning my demise every week. But I'm sorry for taking it out on the listening audience sometimes. But I mean, to be fair, you guys are kind of playing into Matt's traps here. Like you get a kick out of my emotional roller coaster that I'm on a regular basis. So don't act all innocent, you guys out there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, after they do their readings, they know what's going on.
Yeah, they know what's up. Also, I will say this. Everybody's probably lucky and relieved that I read the night before we podcast, because whatever emotional spikes I have while podcasting, you could probably amplify that by about 20 while reading or immediately after reading. It takes a good solid 24 hours to come down to the level I'm at on the show from the reading most times. So it's for everybody's benefit. Trust me.
That's good. Yeah. Next email from Katie.
Hi, Katie.
She says, "Hi guys, this is my super shouty all caps email in which I am angsty and have many feelings."
So emo.
Okay, perhaps not. It's too much work to all caps an entire email in Braille. So I imagine it would not be fun to read.
Katie, I'm exhausted already. Holy cow.
Oh, Harry. Poor, traumatized, angsty Harry yelling at everybody. This was uncomfortable to read, but so realistic at the same time. He's a dumb teenage boy with much angst. Of course he's going to blow up at those closest to him. He doesn't have parents to take it out on, so Ron and Hermione get it instead. There's so much happening in these chapters that I forgot about. Molly and Sirius's fight always makes me sad. It's like the fights that Lorelai and Emily have in Gilmore Girls.
Oh, God,
where
so true.
No one is entirely right and no one is entirely wrong. And Molly is under so much stress already with Percy and the Order and everything. Poor everybody.
And
Hugs
it makes
all
everybody
around.
uncomfortable.
Yep. Hugs all around, except Percy. No hugs for you, sir. And what about our introduction to the lovely Mrs. Black? We all love that, I'm sure. I'd also like to address the fact that Ginny actually talks in front of Harry now. Hooray! and I absolutely love Tonks.
Yeah.
I also like that she seems to have adopted Ginny and Hermione as her little sisters or something like that. I just love when strong, smart women make friends. One last thing. I don't know if I ever congratulated Matt for pronouncing my name correctly on the first try. Because of the way it's spelled, I get all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh.
I don't know if I ever mentioned the spelling of this one. This is Kayde.
No, you definitely did not.
Yeah.
I was really concerned with how you would be able to screw up a Katie. So
yeah, it's not your normal spelling, but yeah. So there you go. Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely.
We got an email from Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
Says, hey, Josh and Matt. After seeing the Tales from Godric's Hollow recommended on the Harry Potter subreddit, I started listening to the podcast earlier this month. And thanks to the fact that the school year is over and all I've got is free time, I've finally caught up. I don't think I have any friends who have read the series, so it's great hearing Josh's first impressions and wild theories, some of which have been shockingly accurate. I absolutely couldn't believe how early on he latched on to Mrs. Fig. I second the recommendations from a couple of last week's emails to listen to the audiobook sometime. But I'll throw my hat in the ring for Stephen Fry's UK versions. I like his voice and reading style a lot more than Jim Dale's, so although they're harder to get for an American, I'd highly suggest them. His Voldemort voice in particular is startling but amazing. High and cold, exactly like she describes in the book. You can find a comparison of the videos of Dale and Fry on YouTube if you're curious.
Okay.
Finally, as a teacher, I have lots of feelings about Snape, especially how he treats the students. Let's just say, unlike Matt, he is not my favorite character. But maybe I'll save all that for later on when he's back to being a bigger part of the story. Plus, there are other spoilery reasons I can't mention yet either. Sorry, Josh.
I understand. I do.
I can't wait
like
for
it, but I understand.
I can't wait for the rest of the Order of the Phoenix. One of my favorite scenes in the entire series happens at the climax of this book. Ravenclaw out.
Interesting.
A lot of good stuff yet to come. Let's see. Next email from Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
So she sent us a brief write-up of a review that she wanted to post to iTunes. And I don't know if you have any suggestions here. She says, I have tried several times to post a review, but for some reason it won't send. I don't know what's going on. I even asked some people to try to post it for me, but it still won't go. Have you heard of anything like that?
On the computer or on the phone, on like an app?
That's a good question.
If it's on the app, that might be why. I don't know for sure, but I've never heard of anybody having a problem posting it on, on the computer. So
yeah, maybe try it on a different device.
Other than that, I haven't heard of that problem at all. So
yeah.
I could ask around. I know a few people that might be in the know on that kind of thing, but
sure. Yeah, I haven't heard of anybody having that problem before. So
yeah.
I guess if anybody else has any possible solutions, feel free to write in. Let us know.
Definitely.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get the posted. Let's see. Next up's email from Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Says, hi, Matt and Josh. Josh, you were right that I had no right to expect you to remember Colin's brother's name. But I'm still disappointed in Matt. But I accept his excuse and apology, and will try to place blame where it is due if these things happen in the future. Get ready for teen angst and PTSD mixed Harry. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I understand that Harry's upset, but snapping at Hedwig and telling her to basically assault Ron and Hermione and Sirius is not the way to get things done. Stupid 15-year-old boy. 2 former Defense Against Dark Arts professors are in Harry's house suddenly with the Dursleys are out. Of course, it all becomes clear that it wasn't just coincidence. It makes perfect sense that the magical world is once again making life for the Dursleys difficult. Yes. I'm getting the impression that J.K. likes her Violet violent. This is the second time we've gotten the color described that way. It's very true.
That is true, isn't it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was the night bus as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tonks' hair. But as she continues, more to the point, I love Tonks. She's the best. I can't wait to hear what Josh makes of her. Another Hufflepuff that he can be proud of.
Wait, what? Tonks is a Hufflepuff?
I don't recall offhand, but I'm going to take her word for it until I look it up.
That's a wonderful, wonderful thing I just learned. She strikes me as a Hufflepuff.
She very well could be. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, she's a Hufflepuff.
That's incredible. I like her even more. And I didn't even think that was possible. Sorry, Lupin, you just got bumped off the list again.
Yeah, that's one of those things I don't think we actually learned in the books. That was something J.K. told us after the fact.
That's just world building after.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. She's a Hufflepuff.
I like it.
All right. She's quirky and sassy and funny, and I love her so much. She's up there on my top characters. With another one we'll meet shortly.
Oh, God. Why are you guys doing this to me? That doesn't even need to be included in the email. You could just scratch that entire sentence off, and I would have ended this email smiling and happy, thinking about Tonks as a Hufflepuff. And now you got me thinking about a character I don't even know about, that you're teasing me about how wonderful it is.
Oh, I've been teasing you about this character for weeks already.
I know, but I try not to listen to you too much.
Oh, thanks.
The listeners, they throw in their 2 cents, and you guys are just driving me mad here.
Question. Okay, this is the same one again. Harry got in trouble for Dobby using magic around him, but why it was okay for Tonks and Mad-Eye to use magic around him.
Yeah.
Does
anybody not pay attention that the Dursleys are gone?
Well, okay, she even questions, is it because no Muggles are around?
Okay, yes.
I never understand how wizards come up with their laws and what constitutes breaking them.
That's a fair point, because that is flexible by the day.
Yeah. So many shouty capitals. Poor kid has so much PTSD, it's depressing. He can't even handle his anger with his best friends. Percy's the worst.
Yep.
Never liked him to begin with, but this takes the cake. Sure. I get that he's upset to be told that Fudge only gave him the job so he could spy on his family, but the things he said to Mr. Weasley were too much. I would agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That was my biggest takeaway, is like Percy just needs to show some respect. Like he just completely throws his family under the bus.
Yeah. For no real reason either.
No, but for the love of the job.
Yeah.
It's Sirius's childhood home they're in. How pleasant. I'm still unsure why the lot of purebloods that hated Muggles would live in a Muggle town beside Muggles. They gotta live somewhere.
Sure.
Their house was hidden. They didn't care. Maybe property was cheap. It was a foreclosure or something. Who knows?
Right.
There might be enough information and questions to get another Muggle theories about what Voldemort is after. What's the weapon he needs?
Everybody's focusing on the weapon, and I barely remember that we even talked about a weapon. You guys are crazy.
They're writing this show for you.
Pretty much, man. I'm just on autopilot at this point. I'm over here crying over Mrs. Weasley and Sirius arguing back and forth, and everybody else is all concerned about what weapon Voldy's after. Priorities, people, priorities.
Okay, so before I go any further, I need to jump back to an email that got jumbled out of place because they sent a second email.
Okay.
Did the whole sent it as a reply thing, and Gmail screws that all up with
Yep.
with my order.
Sure.
So as I mentioned early on, I was going to applaud our headmistress, Mel B. Because she was the second email I received this week.
The second, like, chronologically?
Yes.
Wow. Mel
This
B.
email was
Did
from
she go
6 days ago.
Did she go out of town?
No.
Okay.
No. We'll just get into it here.
Okay.
So keep in mind, she wrote this like the day after the last podcast came out.
All right.
Says, okay, I'm thoroughly shamed. Shame. As headmistress, I should follow the rules of the show. Apparently, I just can't make up my own. As such, you may find his emails come very early. First of all, Harry is a moody little bugger, isn't he? I get that. I get that considering everything that has happened, but it still doesn't stop me from wanting to give him a piece of my mind. He's also a little drama queen. Azkaban for a little bit of magic.
He did go over the top on that one.
He did. But the action certainly doesn't slow down. How exciting is it to see the real Mad-Eye Moody? And it's as awkward for Harry as it is for us. We don't know Mad-Eye at all. We just know Barty Crouch Jr.'s imitation.
Right.
It's so weird to think about, and Moody is so truly paranoid. Either more so since the Crouch incident, or Crouch did not do him true justice. He is so much grumpier and paranoid than how Crouch was. I can't get over how paranoid he is. He has a plan. He has a plan for if all the guards die. It's true. He had like the backup guard or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
All set to go. It's like, yeah. And we get to see Lupin again. I love him so much, and I get excited every time I read this, but not as excited as when we get to see Sirius. Get to that soon. What do you think of all caps Harry? I know loads of people have issues with him. Personally, I feel sorry for him. Harry has gone through genuine trauma and is probably suffering PTSD, but the wizarding world does not have a registered psychologist or therapist. This is a 15-year-old kid who witnessed a fellow student being murdered, on top of all the other things he's been through. And as far as I can see, he's given no support, no counseling. Can anyone blame him for being short-tempered or moody?
No, not really. I have a question, though.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in the middle here, but like this is like the fifth person that's mentioned Shouty Caps Harry.
Yep.
Was it written in Shouty Caps?
Oh, you didn't get to see that. Okay.
So, like, the text in the book is all Shouty Caps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This makes way more sense now.
Yeah, I totally didn't realize that you wouldn't get to see that.
No, I don't see the book. I never touched the book.
That never crossed my mind at all.
Yeah. That makes way more sense.
Here, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But I just...
Well, first I'm just like, okay, I know Harry was, like, yelling a lot, but, like, we're all using the same terminology here. At some point, I'm starting to wonder what's going on.
That once again would be or could be very confusing for you.
I mean, thankfully Val does a really good job reading it, so, like, she nailed the yelling part, so I wasn't mystified by, like, why everybody was saying this, but then I started to wonder if it was actually typed out that way.
Yeah, so I just sent you a screenshot of like one of the pages.
Yeah.
And you can see like there are multiple pages that look like
this,
where it is just Harry going off.
Whoa!
Like it is literally Shouty Caps all over the place.
Okay, that is
like there are
full
paragraphs like on the page before this and the page after that I just sent you, like Harry just yelling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Thank you for asking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. So, all right. We're all on the same page now, folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fred and George, my heart. Mm-hmm. They're so clever and funny. I love how they deal with Harry and his moodiness. And it works. Harry drops the attitude super fast once they get there. I think it's clear they are putting Harry's money to good use.
That's true.
The Ministry and the media smear campaign is not okay. Go for Dumbledore, sure. He's strong enough to take it. But a 15-year-old kid? It really makes me sickened by the Wizarding World to see them treat a child that way.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I saw it less as treating Harry that way, and more so going after a weakness of Dumbledore. You know?
Sure.
Like, you know, they wouldn't care if Harry saw the articles and he was upset by it, but if they could get Dumbledore to react and be emotional about what they're writing or implying about Harry Potter, like, that's what they're really after.
Yeah.
You know? That's how I interpreted it, at least.
Fair enough.
Whereas Rita was definitely going after Harry because that's who she was and that was the interesting story. Now it's less going after Harry and more using him as bait.
Yeah. The reappearance of my favorite character always makes me happy. Sirius sits proudly at the top of my top 10 favorite Harry Potter characters, and there are just so many reasons why. I want to know what Josh thinks about Sirius's parents. I know we don't know a lot about them, but I think the house could be used to make some assumptions.
Well, his mom was probably fairly mean. Probably not the nicest of ladies. What do we know about his dad? Was his dad mentioned at all?
I don't think so.
Okay. So I'm not going to assume anything about his dad, because that's weird. The snake that we talked about, definitely some Slytherin action going on. Which, you know what, like, doesn't really surprise me, because Slytherins have been, like, the most reactionary, emotional characters, you know, like Draco, his dad, Voldy, obviously, you know, like, we've seen kind of like that short temper, that quick to have an emotional response before really working it all out internally, and that's definitely kind of right up Sirius's alley, you know.
Yep, makes sense.
From what we know of him. So, like, maybe he does have, like, a little Slytherin in him, you know? But, like, his mom, like, definitely probably wasn't the nicest of ladies. And she's carrying that on into, you know...
Painting form,
so...
Yeah. Molly isn't too keen on Sirius being a parental figure to Harry. She certainly doesn't trust his judgment. What do you think, Josh? Do you think Sirius was right to tell Harry about the Order and fight against Voldemort? Or should he be trying to protect Harry from the outside world?
I think both of them are right. You know, I don't feel like you can completely shut him out of what's going on and expect him to make it out okay. I think that, like, there are things that he needs to know. I think there is a limit as to what he needs to know or should know. But, like, you know, he's also, like, you know, it was pointed out, he's experienced more in just a couple years than some of the people in that house have in their entire lives. So, yeah, it's tough. But I don't think either one of them were wrong in this situation.
Fair enough. Well, that's it for my super early email. Can't wait to hear Josh's reactions to Grimmauld Place.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Melby. You're the best.
And there you go. That was her super, super early email. Should have been right earlier, but oh well. Let's see here. Got an email from Zach.
Hi, Zach.
So, Josh has already hit on the thing I see people complain about the most with Book 5. Harry is a bit angry in this book. He's yelling a lot, and a lot of people don't like it. I've never been that annoyed by it. I wasn't an angry teenager when it came out, but just because I wasn't yet that old when it came out. Though when I went back and listened to the audiobooks about a year ago, I started to see it from that point of view. I still like it for reasons I can't go into yet, but it can be a bit of an issue.
Sure.
Yes, Wand Safety 101 should be a class, but when is anything about Hogwarts remotely safe? This is a school that kept a 3-headed dog behind a door that could be unlocked by a first-year spell. The only warning was, avoid the corridor if you don't want to die a painful death. I don't think Dumbledore has heard or understood the word safety.
I mean, that was a fair warning, though.
It was.
It kept most of the school out, let's be real here. It worked with the exception of 3 kids.
Yep. Mad-Eye was suspicious before, then spent nearly a year unconscious and drugged in a trunk. How much worse must he be now? I
feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg with him.
It's possible. I'm starting to hit the limitation of my strategy of not rereading the books as we go. I had this book practically memorized in 2004, so I'm having trouble remembering what Josh is referring to by some of these notes. So it looks like... So are you going to make me read these again?
Absolutely.
I think that'd be a good idea.
See,
Wonderful
the notes,
idea.
like some of the notes, like without context, would mean nothing. But like as you're reading, like all the notes are in chronological order. So like,
Yep.
You can pick out certain aspects of the book, certain little scenes that make sense with the notes.
Yeah. So if you read it and then read the notes right after, it should make a lot of sense.
Yeah. The notes are definitely not meant to be read independently.
Yeah. It's in combination with the reading.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Next email from Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Says, hey, Josh and Matt. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Just like this podcast, I'm going to give no fluff and jump right into these chapters today.
That's the way to do it, Joe.
That was a great quote from last week. If it were burglars that had broken into the Dursleys' house instead of the guard, Harry would seriously have had to have some of the worst luck ever. Not that he couldn't defend himself, but he certainly couldn't use magic again with the Ministry already out for him. Yeah, that would be unfortunate. So great to see Lupin and Moody back, although Moody is certainly not the same one we grew to know and love from the previous book. It's really kind of hard to separate the two of them, which I think, Josh, you're finding out. Tonks being a metamorph magus has to be the coolest thing ever. Can't wait to see more of her. The real Moody might just be more paranoid than Crouch Jr.'s Moody was, and he was pretty paranoid then.
Sure. Rightfully so.
Yeah. Harry's been bottling up his frustration for a while now, and he just exploded on Ron and Hermione. I think we forget how much Harry has gone through in such a short period of time. Like, he was lucky to survive the cemetery a few months prior to this. When you have an experience like that, I think it changes you. Even still, Harry's got to learn to control his temper, especially with Ron and Hermione. It's not their fault, and I think Harry's a bit out of line.
Yeah.
I think Sirius calling Mundungus Fletcher Dung as a nickname tells you all you need to know about him. I once again would agree. I also appreciate that the name Dung is a lot easier to say. Like I'm sure you've noticed I often stumble over the name Mundungus. Like you have to get that first syllable out, and then it's like, yeah. I'm a little surprised to see how upset Sirius is at Dumbledore. It's got to be frustrating to want to help, but have to stay at home. I'm actually more surprised at the fact that Sirius has not disobeyed Dumbledore and gone out from Grimmauld Place anyway. He seems the type to do something a bit unhinged like that.
I mean, he is wanted for like 13 murders, so...
Yeah,
the Muggle world is also looking for him too, so...
Yep.
He badly wants to, but I think, he has...
Common sense rules.
Yeah, enough self-restraint to not go and ruin his chance.
But like you said, I mean, he does kind of have that instinct, that urge to do something rash.
Sure, but he missed so much of Harry's life at this point. Like, I think that's the most important thing to him right now, is to be there for Harry.
Yeah.
And going back to Azkaban will not help the situation.
No. Next email here from Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
says, hey guys, I want to thank you guys for podcasting about Josh's experience with his first time through. I'm a grad student, and I rarely give myself time to relax. The small readings and podcasts make me take time out of my busy week for something that is just for myself and not related to school. Glad we can help.
Absolutely.
Last week you guys talked about how harsh Harry is being, but I always have tried to truly put myself in Harry's shoes. Yes, Harry does need a better outlet than yelling at his friends to get out his frustrations. They were sworn to secrecy, and it's probably terrible for them to keep that information. Where I began to sympathize with Harry is that Harry has known since he was 11 that Voldemort was going to be after him. And he's had to face Voldemort several times since his first year at Hogwarts. Now that Voldemort is officially back, Harry has been kept from any information on Dumbledore's orders. This has to have created a sense of continuous paranoia. Harry has no idea what's happening in the wizarding world. I always had a problem with Dumbledore's rationale on keeping information from Harry. Dumbledore said that he prefers truth to lies. Is the omission of information a lie?
That's a gray area. You know? But, like, I don't think if Harry had all the information he had and was still sitting in Privet Drive by himself, like, it would have done any good. You know? And I think that's what Dumbledore was most concerned about. Like, Harry alone with the Dursleys, knowing all that information would have been dangerous.
It very well could have been.
You know, so, like, I don't think Dumbledore is going to have a problem with Harry knowing this information now that he's in the HQ. But totally different scenario now than when he was back with the Dursleys.
Sure. She says, Dumbledore and members of the Order believe Harry is too young to have this information. After 4 years of knowing that Harry goes to great lengths to uncover a secret, why not just provide him with the information? The main goal of hiding the information was to protect Harry, but Harry has an impulsive need to know everything that's going on. They have to know he will meddle as soon as he knows he's not being told the truth. Lupin and Sirius seem to be the only ones who understand this about Harry, likely because this is a characteristic that James passed on. No one wants someone else to make decisions for you, even if it could be what's best for you.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And she also notes that Percy is the true Barty Crouch Jr. for cutting out his family for the sake of the job.
Also true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's see here.
You guys are doing fantastic with the emails tonight. Just gotta say that. Hearing from a lot of new people too. I love that.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of new emails coming in tonight. Another email from a different Katie.
Different Katie. Hello, different Katie.
Different Katie. She says, Dear Matt and the Muggle.
Hold on, question.
Yes.
Does different Katie spell it the same way as first Katie?
No.
Okay.
This is Katie.
So you absolutely nailed the pronunciation on this one.
I hope so.
Okay.
Who knows nowadays?
That's true.
People like to be different. Maybe there's a different pronunciation I don't know about. Says, Dear Matt and the Muggle. I can't see how either one of you can trust the Muggle. I have about 1 million theories on how the Muggle knows everything. 1, he actually read the books. 2, he secretly watched the movies. 3, he's looking up things on Google or Wikipedia. 4, he's asking people for info other than Bell. I'm only being sarcastic. So I'm only being sarcastic when I'm saying congratulations.
Sure.
Okay, down to business. Val was amazing, and we need more of her. I'm also like the 9-year-old and can't keep to the reading schedule. I intended to read 2 chapters which turned into the whole book and the movie.
Whoa!
Katie,
that's a big book to just read through, just crush through it.
Well, even more so when you find out that Katie is 10 and a half years old.
Oh. What is wrong with the youth these days, Matt?
I can't follow the rules.
No, not at all.
Well, I think you know what Josh wants you to do, Katie. Stick with the schedule.
Stick with the schedule. Or at least just lie to me. Just say, you know what? Doing this,
all right.
properly.
Lies are preferred to the truth. Got it.
Only when it comes to the reading schedule, Matt.
Okay.
Actually, that's quite impressive, Katie.
Hey, that one. If there's one positive that comes out of that, I love to see that kids nowadays are actually reading.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. Next email from Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Says, hey, Matt and Josh, there's so much in these chapters. I love it. I'll try to make it short, so I probably won't hit everything in this email. Sassy Harry is my spirit animal.
Sassy? Is that how we're calling him?
That's what she's calling it.
Okay, all right.
I love the reaction we see from these first chapters. If I were him, I'd be too mad. I'd be mad too, if no one told me what was going on when there are dementors, hearings, and threats of expulsion. I feel like Harry's losing his temper is equivalent to what the readers felt while waiting for this book to come out. Why are we kept in the dark so long? Josh, did you catch that one of the wizards Harry met, Daedalus Diggle, with the top hat, was the stranger that thanked Harry in the first book? The only reason I caught it is because I'm listening to your current episodes and listening to the old ones in my spare time.
Yeah, I totally remembered all of that. Nailed it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I talked about like he would be back in a major way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. He's probably going to protect her at some point.
Yeah. We meet the Order of the Phoenix, and I'm pretty sure Josh did a good job predicting this. Snape being there was a fun twist. I'm not surprised he doesn't stay for dinner, but what special mission is he doing? I wonder what the meetings are like with him there. Well, everyone knows he used to be a Death Eater. I can only imagine the things that Sirius and Lupin say to each other about them. Speaking of Sirius, how fun was his entrance? When Molly yells at Sirius, telling him Harry is not James, I imagine it was like one of the moments where everyone stopped and there was a gasp or two.
Yeah.
But Sirius played it off well. But I imagine this did hurt him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Part of me was glad that Sirius was standing up for Harry. Yes, Harry is a teenager, but like Sirius pointed out, he's been through so much more than your average 15-year-old boy. If Harry is the one Voldemort is after, he should be included in the conversation. On the other hand, I can see Mrs. Weasley's worry that Sirius may treat Harry more like a friend in the place of James. However, having Sirius and the rest of the Order in this book is fun, and I look forward to more of them.
Definitely. Also, Voldemort? We don't say that word on this podcast.
We say it all the time. What are you talking about?
Voldy, Matt. Voldy.
Voldemort.
We have to delegitimize his scariness.
Well, that's why we don't call him Lord Voldemort.
That's also true. Yeah. Can't feed into his ego.
Yep. All right. Next email from Alex.
What's up, Alex?
Dear Josh and Matt, as I'm sure you guys remember, I sent my email in super late last week.
No.
Naturally, I was ridiculed, which I most certainly deserved. Now that I can handle. But what was less fun was anxiously waiting to the end of the episode to discover if I had sent my email in on time. Honestly, it was one of the most stressful things I've endured in a while. Fortunately, I didn't miss the cutoff, but I don't want to tempt fate twice, so I'm sending my email much earlier than I usually would. I think we all win in this situation.
We definitely do, Alex. We definitely do.
For the record, he did get his email in before we started recording.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
We're breaking new ground with Alex.
And Mel.
Yeah, that's true.
These chapters are odd. There's some good exposition here, but a lot of downtime too. The first chapters start off with such a bang, but other than the flying segment, it's pretty slow. But let's start off with the good stuff. First off, we finally get a proper introduction to Moody, who, again, is probably my favorite character in the series.
This is chance number 2, Alex, to make me like Mad Eye Moody.
It says we also get introduced to Tonks, who is awesome for plenty of reasons, but mostly for her dope Metamorph Magus ability.
See? That's a stupid word to say, Matt.
Which he continues, please make Josh say Metamorph Magus 5 times fast.
No. Not a chance.
Sirius and Lupin are back, which is cool, and we get caught up on what's been happening over the last month since school got out, which, it turns out, isn't much. As for the bad stuff, 2 things. First, the house being dirty and Mrs. Black screaming is kind of boring, and they talk about it a lot. Second, we get our first real glimpse of Harry's inner teenage angst. It's not the last time we'll see an outburst like this, and it gets old, really fast. This book picks up a lot later on, but these chapters are just a big come down from how the book started, so it feels dry.
Huh. Okay.
Differing opinions, I guess. But
sure. That's what Alex is good for.
Definitely. And we have one more. Neither Josh or Mel was
Alex
last. Alex, you know who I'm talking about.
I'll make sure the listening audience knows who you're talking about, Matt.
They know too.
Okay.
They know very well.
Sure.
Last email this week is from Brent.
Hi, Brent.
Says, hey, Matt and Josh. Pretty sure this is getting in on time. He also made it in before we started recording. Okay. No worries.
You guys all win. Gold stars all the way around.
It's just after Josh's rant last week about emails getting on time. I want to make sure I wasn't left out. I have a couple of thoughts on your last episode. I found your all's discussion on Professor Flitwick's changing appearance fascinating. I always thought it was just part of the change from Chris Columbus directing movies 1 and 2 to Alfonso directing in movie 3. The whole look and aesthetic changed for just about everything in that transition, which is true. I never knew the choir master wasn't supposed to be Flitwick. Talk about some serious retconning. I mean, what did they think? We wouldn't notice perhaps the most well-known little person actor in the world? I mean, come on. We've been watching Warwick Davis grow up since 1983 when he played an Ewok. We're gonna be able to pick him out. But it is true that he played the Goblin in The Sorcerer's Stone. That line, and does Mr. Harry Potter have his key, is so classically Warwick Davis. On a side note, the other Goblin, named Griphook, who is the one that took Harry and Hagrid to the vault, was played by Vern Troyer.
Huh. Awesome.
I'm sure you recognize him as Mini-Me.
Yep.
That's going to be his most notable role, I think. Side note that I can't read.
I want to go back and read that or watch that movie now.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Yeah. On the issue of Petunia being is a squib, I would say not. We've covered that. Remember what Petunia said. Here's one of the references. Remember what Petunia said in book 1 about Lily when Harry finally found out. How could she not be? Mommy and Daddy were so proud when she got her letter. We have a witch in the family. Yeah, kind of implying that there wasn't a witch in the family prior. Yeah. So,
and that they openly embraced it. Like I could see like a lot of parents being upset by that also.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't see Hermione's parents being upset.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
others that we don't know about. Like I can see it going both ways. You know,
I'm sure those families are out there.
Yeah. Again, Fantastic Beasts, Matt.
He says, "Yeah, that doesn't sound like a wizarding family right there, but it does seem like they knew about the magical world and interacted with them. Because of that boy she heard over talking about the Dementors. It does seem that Lily was able to mingle her life at Hogwarts with her Muggle family." Mm-hmm. Finally, Josh nails exactly why, for me, this is my least favorite book. In short, Harry is a 15-year-old punk. He's kind of a jerk. And since this story is told from his point of view, we get a deep look into the mind of a jerk. Though I will say, this still isn't as bad as reading the thoughts of Katniss in the Hunger Games, but it's close. Have you read the Hunger Games?
No, Matt.
Okay. I'm not going to force that on you. But I think a lot of people will understand what he's talking about.
One series at a time, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even seen the movies for what it's worth, so I know she has a bow and arrow.
She does.
Yeah.
Anyway, the book will keep rolling. There's so much more to get to. Ta-ta for now.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you indeed.
And thank you to everybody that emailed this week.
Yeah,
honestly.
A lot of good stuff in there.
Yep, fantastic. Really enjoyed all of them. Let's see here, Matt. I think we need to talk about the giveaway for next week that we're going to do.
We should do that.
That would be a great time. Matt, what are we giving away next week?
We will be giving away possibly one of my favorite prizes to date. Mm-hmm. Like, I got it in the mail this week, and honestly, I don't want to send it away to anybody else. I just want to put it up on my wall.
Sure.
It's this great piece of artwork. Got from I think it's from the Harry Potter shop or something like that. It is essentially the Gryffindor crest, basically. Mm-hmm. Has a big lion on it and all Gryffindor colors. I think it says Gryffindor on it. Now that I think about it, it's not actually the crest, but it's very Gryffindor.
Okay.
But I think it's a piece that even non-Gryffindors will be able to appreciate. So.
Well, that's too bad, because only Gryffindors could win this prize this week.
False.
Okay.
False. 100% false. But like we've been at this for a while now, almost a year. I mean, we've been doing giveaways most of the time, and for how much we talk about all the different houses, like I thought it was about time that we kind of start celebrating some of the houses too.
Sure,
so,
absolutely.
There will probably be some more kind of house specific prizes as we go along.
Yeah.
But I mean, these giveaways are still open to everybody, and like I said, this piece in particular, like any Harry Potter fan should enjoy this. I think so.
Sure. And of course, all of our giveaways we're able to do because of everybody that's supporting what we're doing on Patreon, patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. All of your wonderful support and generosity goes directly back into the show to let us do what we're doing here, which is just give away a whole bunch of cool stuff, build an awesome community. So everything that we get from Patreon goes right back into all of this, and we can't thank everybody enough for the ability to do so, especially with these cool prizes that Matt keeps finding. How are we going to give this away, you ask? Simple. You're going to write in an email, because emails are great.
That's how we do them now.
One of these days I'm going to switch it up just to throw you off, Matt. Just when you least expect it. But this week is going to be another email. Send an email to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. Separate than your normal weekly email normally would. And this week I want you to swear allegiance to the Gryffindor house and prove in some way, shape, or form that you're 100% Gryffindor. That's the only way to win.
Okay.
I'm totally kidding. Everybody calm down. Everybody. I just had a whole bunch of fake Ravenclaws get really upset about having to pretend to be Gryffindor now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not how you win. Okay, seriously. Talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. Send in an email. We're going to make this simple. Like, if you want to elaborate, go for it. Write as much as you want. But I want you to come up with what your secret society name would be. If you were in the position to where you were creating your own secret society for whatever reasons, what would it be named? Can't use Order of the Phoenix. That's already taken.
That is taken.
But anything else, be creative. What would it be named? What would it represent? Why would it be named that? What would it be used for? Go into as much detail as you want.
As much or as little, yes.
Or as little as you want. If you just want to drop a name that you came up with, cool. We'll accept that also.
Yep.
But have fun with it. Let's be creative here, folks. So again, write in an email, talesfromgoddixhollow@gmail.com. Keep it separate. Send it in by next week. And you will be entered to win a prize. Which is this wonderful Gryffindor picture that Matt might just keep for himself.
If no one enters.
Yes. But speaking of next week, Matt, we have a few announcements. We have to close the show with some really important stuff here.
Yep.
Okay. Next week, the schedule is changing. So everybody's going to be sending in submissions. They need to do it by when?
Next week we will be recording the show on Sunday night instead of Monday.
Right.
So normally we record Monday nights. We're going to do it roughly the same time, most likely. We'll let you know, like, when the Muggle poll comes out. You'll be able to tell what time we're recording.
Right.
But roughly the same time on Sunday night, so that'll be July 2nd. We will be recording episode 53.
Sure.
So all of your emails, all your giveaway entries, everything like that needs to be in by July 2nd.
That's 24 hours sooner than you normally would, Alex.
There you go.
Everybody else is probably good. So keep that in mind. We'll hit social media as hard as we can to remind everybody. But so one day earlier on the submission. Also, we have a slight permanent schedule change to explain. And Matt, I'm going to let you explain how this is going to work and why it's happening.
All right. So I know this is going to throw some of you for a loop. If you have us built into your normal schedule, by the time you're hearing this, obviously you're going to realize that something's up, and hopefully you've listened long enough to get the full explanation here. But we will, from now on, starting this week, be releasing new episodes on Wednesday morning.
Right.
So normally we record Monday night and release Tuesday morning, but I want to change that up for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to be able to coordinate our schedules. Right now, the way we have it, Josh will release the episode on the iTunes feed, and then he'll send it over to me, and then I'll upload it to the Patreon feed. But we do this so late at night that, like, the Patreon feed gets it, like, sometimes 8 to 12 hours after the iTunes feed, and there's some people who just like to use that feed, and so I want to coordinate all that and get it all launched at the same time.
Yes.
So by delaying it until Wednesday morning, it's going to give you time to edit it, get it over to me, and then we can both upload it to our respective feeds and get it out there at the same time.
Right.
The other reason I want to do this is that I will be expanding the Tales from Godric's Hollow website. This was part of the deal, something I wanted to do for a while, but something I'm able to do now with the help of our Patreon members. They hit another goal, and this is part of the deal that we're going to start expanding the website. And one of the things I'm doing with this is each show is going to have its each individual page on the website.
Okay.
So this episode, if you want to go to talesfromgodric's hollow.com 5052. So it's just the episode number in 3 digits. That's going to take you to the show notes for this episode. It's going to give you kind of a rundown of what we talked about. It'll give you the winner of the giveaway from last week. It'll tell you what the prize is going to be for the upcoming giveaway. It will tell you what to read for next week. It will tell you
timestamps of all the times I make awesome predictions.
We'll see how specific we can get over time. But the point being is I need a little bit of time to get all that together as well.
Sure.
And so delaying it by that one day is going to give me the time to do that.
Perfect.
In the long run, it's going to be better for all of us. It's going to help the show grow. It's going to be able to growing the website like that is going to help everybody be able to find the show, and our audience will grow, and the show will grow, and we'll be able to do more things with it. Those show notes will also include any links we mentioned during the show, any pictures we want to show, whether it be artwork that people submitted to us in email form. It might just be a picture. Sometimes I send things to Josh during the show, mm-hmm. and I want to share that with everybody. Yeah. A lot of times I only get to do that like via Twitter, and I know not everybody uses Twitter.
Sure.
So now I'm going to put that on the website as well, and it's all going to be there in one location. You can just pull up that episode's page while you're listening and have the reference to anything we might mention during the show.
Basically, it's just a full breakdown of the nonsense that we discuss on every episode. Yeah, I mean, and just to clarify, it's not like going to be like the Muggle notes, which are for the Patreon.
Yeah, those are still Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, this is show notes. Everybody will have access to 100%. No nonsense. We're just giving Matt an extra 24 hours to be able to put that all together. So you guys will get the show 24 hours later than you normally would. We are going to set it up to a specific time. It's going to be 3 a.m. Pacific, 6 a.m. Eastern time.
Correct.
Trying to get that out
Wednesday mornings.
Mornings, so that everybody could download it before they leave for work or whatever the case is. So you could expect that consistency as long as the program works consistently, then it will push out consistently at that time. So, like Matt said, this is going to be better for everybody. It's going to be a weird adjustment for like the first couple of weeks, I'm sure. But if you hate us, absolutely hate us because of it, let us know. But we're hoping that this will be really awesome for everybody involved. So
that's the plan.
Thank you for your patience. Let's see. 2 more things. This is a super long episode, but you know what? We had super long chapters to cover and a lot of stuff, and it's been fun. And if you guys are still here, thank you so much for putting up with it for just a few more minutes. I do have a project that I teased a little while back that I am going to be starting now that it's summertime and now that life responsibilities are slowed down for me and I have a little bit extra time on my hands. I'm going to be starting a series that I have cleverly named Breaking&nbsp.
There you go.
Okay. Breaking&nbsp. What it is I'm going to be playing the Harry. It is late, Matt. We should not be recording for this late. See, the blooper reel that I swore up and down we didn't actually have is just happening on the regular show.
Exactly, because we don't cut anything out. It just goes into the show.
I might cut this out. I am going to be playing the Harry Potter Lego video game on the PlayStation 4. It's a collection of all 7 Harry Potter books. I'm going to be starting with books 1 through 4, obviously, because that's all I'm allowed to do. But I'm going to be putting together like a little YouTube series of it, probably like half-hour videos or such, maybe 15 minutes. I haven't really decided. but I'll be like recording my gameplay as I go through the story in Lego form, and I'll be adding some audio commentary if everything works according to plan. It should be fun. It's me re-experiencing the Harry Potter series in a different way.
Yep.
Something else fun to do. Will probably be up on the website as well, so...
Oh yeah, we'll get it all up there.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. That's coming soon. One last thing. And because it's at the end of the show, like, we should have done all this at the beginning of the show when people are listening.
I thought about that.
We messed up, Matt. But today was the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. We are going to do something to kind of celebrate that in our own way. We are due for a new Butterbeer Banter episode. Matt and I have decided that our next Butterbeer Banter episode is going to be basically fueled by you guys, the community out there. We want everybody to write in with an email, completely separate email than all the other emails you're going to be sending this week, of what the Harry Potter series means to you, why it's so special, why you love it so much. If you want to focus more on the first book, because that is like the 20th anniversary of the first book, that's totally cool, like totally encouraged as well. If you can, maybe keep it as spoiler free as possible. If you are going to be talking about spoilers, maybe go vague instead of specific so that Matt could kind of skirt around it if possible. But we want to hear from you guys. We want to know why the Harry Potter series is special to you, what it means to you, why it's important. We will take all these emails and we will read them, and we will make like a Butterbeer Banter episode specifically of just all the emails that you guys send to us. We'll talk about them. We'll have fun like we normally do in our email segment. But it's just going to be about the series in general. We don't give you guys an open forum enough to talk about things not related or directly related to the reading of the week, and this is the chance to do so. So, this episode is going to be coming out Wednesday. We would like to do the episode this Thursday, so you have like 36-hour turnaround time to get those emails in, if possible. If we don't get enough in this week, we'll do it next week. So keep that in mind. But as soon as you can send those in, Matt will hit up, the Patreon feed, and, we'll do Twitter and everything else to try to generate as much as we can. But that's the plan for the next Butterbeer Banter episode. We're going to be celebrating Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone's 20th anniversary by talking to you guys about why Harry Potter is special to you. It's going to be fun.
That's it. Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Matt, I think that's all the announcements we have.
Yes.
That's plenty of announcements. Announcement overload.
Yep.
We need Mrs. Weasley to come in here and tell us to knock it off.
And to be perfectly honest, this is the type of stuff that I can throw on the show notes too. So yes. Even if they don't listen to the full episode, there'll at least be a note of it somewhere that exactly. They can read.
Thank you for a wonderful episode, Matt.
Thank you.
This has been fun. It really has.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to this episode quite a bit since last night. So, you could find me personally on Twitter at The Noise. You could follow the show, of course, on Twitter at Tales from GH. You could follow us on Instagram, Tales from Godric's Hollow. You could check out the website, talesfromgodricshollow.com. Let's see. You can support us over on Patreon, like so many of you fine folks out there already do, and you could allow us to do what we're doing here. Patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can the people find you at, my friend?
You can always find me personally on Twitter at As a Matter of Matt. Otherwise, as I hope you guys overload my inbox this week, we should give you plenty of emails. We have plenty of opportunities, whether it be for just a regular email giveaway or our special 20th anniversary episode of Butterbeer Banter. Whatever the case may be, if you want to give me something longer than Twitter allows, anything. It's all open. talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com.
Perfect. I love it. Matt, how many chapters are we reading next week?
Next week, we are back to 2 chapters, just chapters 6 and 7. If you ever have any questions about our reading schedule, head over once again to talesfromgodricshollow.com. The schedule is always up there, first thing on the site. For the time being, I may switch that up as I add some things to the site, but it will always be easy to find.
Sure. 2 chapters. You got that, kids?
2
chapters. Not 2 books. 2 chapters. Until next time. Muggle out.
Mischief managed.